This podcast is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
No, this podcast won't come out till after the tournament, so you guys on them?
No, it's been tough for us. I mean, it's like there's tons of fish in there.
Yeah.
It seems like nothing's changed in that regard. It's just catching a big one. It's hard.
I struggle out there. It's crazy how much, and I guess I don't know how long you've been fishing Tonka, but it used to be a lot better than it is now, and like guys tell me it was a lot better than when I started fishing it before, or you know what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was curious, just you with your experience down south, is there any parallels with, like, to me, Tonka's harder to pattern probably than a southern lake even.
It is, yeah, just because, like, every single arm you go into is so much different than the one that you just came out of, it seems like, in some little way, especially right now. And maybe that's just because I'm a little bit older, but the last time I was here was, I think it was my junior year of high school. So it's been a while since I've been here. Yeah. And I remember then it was just kind of like all kind of seemed the same somewhat, where it was like, oh, there's cabbage here, there's coontail here. But now it's like, it's crazy how different it is. Watercolor, like bottom, some lakes have tons of hard bottom. Some lakes have, or some bays, I guess, whatever you want to call it, have tons of soft bottom. Yeah, it's hard to pattern, really hard.
I would agree.
We're having that right now.
Yeah, I would agree. And Tonka is one of them. It seems like if you find stuff that's too far apart,
yeah,
like that's what I like. I struggle with managing that.
Yeah, that's the scary part of it.
Yeah. So are you guys gonna like hunker down, you think, or run and gun?
A little bit of both. I mean, so kind of run and gun, I would say, is kind of like, it's kind of like what I kind of like to do, I guess, is the run and gun style of things. I feel like you're a little bit different, Doss. You probably like to hunker down a little bit more. Yeah.
I'm that way too, I would say.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I like the slow in like certain situations. There's definitely time and places for it. When it's like when they're coming to you, at least to me, that's when I can like do it. But otherwise, I just struggle with it. I have a hard time just sitting in one spot. I always feel like they're biting better somewhere else, kind of a thing, So
I would agree, and I think scope has made us worse and better at that.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Because I think I have a tendency to stick around fish that aren't biting, and I'm starting to train myself to just leave,
Mm-hmm.
And yet scope, if you're not getting bit,
yeah,
it's a good reason to leave. But I guess what's cool about you is how much success you've had down south, Mr. Dumke. I want to congratulate you on just all the success you've had, and you're killing, dude. Congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, man.
Yeah, dude, you earned it.
It's been a fun ride for sure. I've been lucky to, I was lucky to be a part of that experience. The whole Montevallo fishing team and coach taking a chance on us. That's something I'll forever be grateful for. And it was a good 5 years down south. Yeah, it's been fun.
Well, he had a king straight suited, so it was fair to take a bet on you boys. But I guess what I'm curious about is the changes you've seen in just fishing down south. When you started to today, because it seems like when you Easton, you northern boys got down there, that minnow thing was fresh. It was new. It was there for the taking, right? And you guys grabbed a hold of the reins of that sweet stallion and you rode off into the sunset. But that was how many years ago?
That would be 5 years ago now. Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, 2020 is when we, or I guess... So we graduated, fall of 2020 is when we got down there, so.
And then what high school class would they make us do, like, the compare and contrast thing? Like, we'd have to do those exercises, but I could not tell you what class that we had to do those exercises in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know either,
someone
but
help
I
me
know
out
what
here?
you're saying.
You were in school not that long ago, and you can't remember? That at least helps me feel better.
Yeah.
That at least helps me feel better.
Maybe English? Would that maybe be what it is? Or literature or something, maybe?
I feel like you have to, like, explain that, right? That Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Yeah,
my
something
mom's
like
an English
that.
teacher. I should know that. There's no way it was English. Actually, it probably was English, dude. But anyway, let's do a little compare and contrast. Like, what the fishing was like 5 years ago versus today. Pressure, technology, cool new stuff, good fishermen. What kind of effect has that had on those fisheries, and how are you having to fish now versus then?
It is totally like 360. It's crazy to
Really?
think back on. Oh, 100%.
360.
Yeah.
Like that much different.
It's
Okay.
wild. Yeah. So thinking back 2020, it was like, so we got there, southern fishing was just totally different, right? Just like, obviously that was just huge culture shift for us. So that was kind of cool, where we got to kind of mix the southern and then like trying to learn the southern thing and try to put the northern thing to it. And so that was kind of where, like you had mentioned, the minnow thing kind of first came for us. Was, we did that a little bit up here. It obviously has a time and a place, in the smallmouth world. And I'd say that's the first experience that comes to mind, is when those two kind of mashed. It was probably like November, December. We were on Mitchell Lake, part of the Coosa chain. And there was a bunch of fish. And this is, again, super new to live scope. That's like where it kind of really is like, holy, this is 360. It is like, to think of live scope, how we used it then and now, and like what it meant then and now, kind of totally different. But now I'm getting on a side tangent. But anyway.
No, carry it. You're good, dude. This is a galaxy, baby.
But so going into like that time of year, a lot of the bait fish is deep. And again, this is totally something that we had no clue about. Like the floating fish thing, that was like nothing that we had any idea about. And to be honest, I don't think really anybody did, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
That was just kind of like uncharted territory. And I'll never forget it. We were just running creeks, and we used to almost run it like smallmouth stuff, where there was just hard spots in these creeks, and we go roll big, like a half-ounce swim bait, like half-ounce with like a 3.8 on it kind of thing.
Yep.
And with scope, then all of a sudden, we would like, let's try hanging a minnow on them, like moping,
Yeah.
and we would smash big stripes and like occasional spotted bass. And it was like, man, like that's how it started. Actually, was we were striper fishing.
You were Gordon Fothergilling those bass
right.
down there.
Yeah.
That is sick.
Yeah, like it was like striper fishing, and then we'd catch a big spot, and it was like, holy, this is so cool. Like we caught a giant spot. And then it was like, well, maybe there's something to this, because so around that time of year, like Mitchell would always get tough. It would always take like 12, 13 pounds would win. And then we'd go do it, and catching a mix of stripe and spots, we were catching like 13 to 15. And we were like, dang, maybe there's something to this. But this was all like bottom related fish that were in like 20 to 30, like middle of these ditches where baits just piled up, and they were all low. And we had the floater bite was probably incredible, and we just had no clue, because we were just looking at the ones on the bottom.
Yeah.
And so then, I don't even know how it evolved from there. It all happened so dang quick, and that kind of touches on like what you said, like guys learning, everyone getting so dang good. It's crazy to think about like how we were like, I'm not gonna say the pioneer of doing it down there, just because that doesn't seem right, but like we're some of like the first guys to be doing it on Mitchell. And now if you go there on a Saturday tournament in the months of October to like February, everyone's out in the middle, and they're throwing a minnow at floaters and stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, now everyone's doing it.
Yeah, so that's like, it's just crazy to think about how much the game has changed there, and just how everyone is so much more involved with it. And that's just super cool to see, like everyone getting in on it. And it's
Is
cool,
it cool to see?
It's cool, but it's not cool at the same time.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Yeah, that's the big 360 to think about. Just guys, how everyone seems to just be getting better and better and better. Throughout high school, college. You're seeing it with the elite guys. Now we're going to Fork, dude. And all of a sudden it's like 30-pound bags are just like, oh, just another one,
Right.
It's just crazy to think about the way that's shifting, and it's cool to see.
It's kind of it's like, are the fish getting smarter? Are we getting better? And the answer is obviously both.
Yep.
Right? But it's which one is it? I think those things, I don't know if we've always been that. Hey guys, this is an exciting one. I just got back from Thorne Brothers, and they just recently took on this brand. It's called Galapagos Fishing. It's a Japanese brand. The guy is a guide on Lake Biwa, and it's just really cool to see some of the awesome products coming out of Japan, especially with the hype around the Sakamata shad. That minnow's been around forever, but there's a couple new products here that I think are going to rival that and exceed your expectations. And the first one is called the Steer Ride. This is offered by Galapagos. This is a 6-inch minnow bait, and very well thought out for not only the rolling action, but also a very unique tail quiver on this one. It's going to move some water. It's a 6-inch bait, and they weight the bottom section and the front section more than the tail and the top section, essentially to keep the posture correct. So the big thing is this bait's not going to over roll when you put it on a jig head. It's going to be that perfect side to side rocking and rolling action. And you'll notice there's these wings on the back of it. And what that's designed to do is maintain a nose down posture while you're mid-strolling. A lot of these mid-strolling minnows, that minnow ends up strolling just like this. And I guess it's a little bit less natural, than your normal bait fish posture. So very unique minnow from Galapagos Tackle. I think Thorne Brothers is the only guys that carry these, so pick some up while you can. As we know, Japanese minnows, you can't get a billion of them, so get them while you can at Thorne Brothers. They've got some awesome colors in that Steer Ride. And then the other minnow they're offering from Galapagos is called the Zegra Shad. So you'll notice that's got a little bit different shape to it. And this minnow is designed to fish weightless on an EWG like a fluke. Has a really nice shimmy on the fall. And then this bait's also designed to just swim on a jig head. So instead of shaking that minnow with this one, you can actually swim it. And it's going to have kind of an irregular, natural looking swim. So the Zegra Shad and Steer Rod, you can find both of those at Thorne Brothers or thornebrothers.com. Like bad at catching them, or if there's like these windows, like there's always been windows, but then you go to a lake, like we have so many lakes with dumb bass up here. All you folks listening in Alabama that are just probably sweating in the heat right now, probably just grinding for that fourth keeper. Yeah. Unfortunately, the I don't know if it's the education system or the cold winters, but our bass are dumb up here. So if you need to take a break from the heat, it's freaking hot up here, but the bass are dumb. Get your ass up here. But that's, I think, what's interesting for me, right? Because I haven't been to Alabama, or lived kind of through what you've lived through. So Minnesota, I feel like that whole deal is behind Alabama and all them southern lakes because of the grass.
100%.
You can't throw.
Yeah.
Like, guys aren't throwing a minnow right now because they see that grass and they're like,
yeah,
should probably flip that.
Yeah.
Or should, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
100%.
But I was curious, I guess, I don't know how much time you've spent up here. Actually, no, we're going to jump to that later. I need to carry on.
Yeah.
So, it started where, so tell me about discovering that, how much easier it was than it is now, because I feel like you've seen an evolution of this is the juice, it's kind of the juice, it's what the fuck.
Yeah.
Juice. Oh, yeah. Oh, you missed. Oh, eat it.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
What's your go-to cuss word live scoping? We all got one. Mine's usually fuck.
I mean,
I won't lie. Bad liar.
I'm trying to think. What's come out the past couple days? A lot. I mean, not gonna lie.
Said some things.
But it's not even at scope. It's just been people driving by, blowing out spots.
I feel like you do this a lot.
Yeah. I just kind of grunt at them.
Kind of
I get a little mad at them.
Bigfoot that shit?
Yeah.
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 What did I say today? Son of a... Or no. Yes, I think son of a bat, son of a something, usually.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a classic. Yeah.
I don't think we used to swear like that before scope. Really think we used to just be
only if you broke your line.
Good people, good high character individuals before live scope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live
dude.
scope's killing the fisheries. It's killing us.
So those fish, I guess, when you first discovered this, you guys mowed down there. Like, I remember talking to you guys, and it was a lot of like your classmates and colleagues and competition, and like people in the South are like anti-spinning pole.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys exploited the shit out of that, right? Kind of.
I mean, it was a group effort. Yeah,
Right.
there was.
We call them on bait casters too.
I mean, and that's the tough part too. It's like I'm sure it was happening kind of all across the country. Like obviously Texas, there's a huge deal there now, and I'm sure guys were way ahead of the time on that. And now seeing Fork, I'm sure there's some really pissed off guys after that. But specifically to like the Coosa River and Alabama and stuff, yeah, there's definitely like a small crew of us that were kind of ahead of the curve on that. Dalton Head on our team, he was a guy. Brody Robinson. Those two were definitely, yeah, they were, some of the forefront on that too. But, and to touch back on, you said like baits too, it's funny to think about, like when we first started that, it was a 1/2 ounce owner head.
No way.
And a Zoom fluke, just a Zoom Junior. And now if you threw that, you're not getting one to even look at it. So
That's
it's like,
crazy.
there is a ton to that, and that's a cool thing that's kind of changed too. And that was kind of like the blessing but a curse with everyone scoping, was now there was way more nuanced stuff, and it's never going to change. There's always going to be something, it seems like, because just when we thought like, okay, it's how can you get better than this, now it's like you keep figuring out little things where it's like, okay, this can make one go from turning away to actually biting. And so that's kind of a cool part of it to see too. But like I said, it's kind of a double-edged sword. When more and more people figure that out, they get smarter and smarter. But
Well, dude, like, can you imagine, like, think about KVD and just how lucky that dude was just with the lack of publicity and live camera and all of that in his boat, like
100%.
how long he was able to hide that hair jig,
Mm-hmm.
Right? Nobody would be able to get away with that
Yeah.
in today's tournament fishing. So I guess my question is, like, how do you have to compete today? Right? They're not eating a minnow like they were. So what do you do? How do you approach that? Because you're having a lot of success, dude. Right now, you've been killing it. So
Thank you.
You got something figured out, and you've been. It's nice to see, like, you're not fishing insane. You're evolving with the times, and you've programmed yourself to fish what's in front of you and catch the next bass in front of you. What does that look like now?
So
Is this contrast or the compare part? I don't even know.
both, I don't know.
Okay, carry on.
So it's actually it's a perfect time to bring it up. So this spring I fished the Central Toyota Series, which is three tournaments. That was the first time I'd ever done any Toyotas, and that was a blast. I learned so dang much doing those. I'm gonna miss them big time being up north. I'll still probably try and run down there just to fish one here and there, because they're such good tournaments for learning, and plus, I mean, you can make good money in them. But
Sure.
But where I was going with that is, so the 3 Centrals this year, the first one was at Chick in March, and then oh no, sorry, it was Pickwick in March, Chick in, when was that, April, and then Gunnersville in May. So kind of we got all like 3 sides we got the pre-spawn, I would say that I guess Chick was still like a lot of like the floating kind of winter, like transition stuff, like starting to find them on there, transition stuff, moving to the bank. And then Gunnersville was like straight ledge derb. And there were guys who caught them in the grass too. But so it kind of got like all sides of the spectrum. And so Pickwick, I mean, that was just like kind of a straight minnow fest. It was still really cold. I want to say the water was like 50, 55. A bunch of guys were catching them like main river ledges, like on winter and stuff, catching them on stumps. And that's how I caught a fair bit of my fish in that one. So that was kind of like, kind of utilizing the whole minnow game. But it was really refreshing. The last 2, it was kind of like a transition. Chick was more, I was doing like minnow, jig, kind of mixing in different stuff, throwing a Nico and stuff. And then Gunnersville was like straight ledge. I think I caught 1 bass on a minnow my whole time there. So that was really cool, and it was refreshing to finally not just like totally rely on the minnow thing, because that is kind of one. Now I'm getting on a side tangent here, but one like misconception I feel like about a lot of the young guys.
Oh, for sure.
And I don't want to like speak for a lot of these, you know, like Tucker and Easton and those guys, but like
No, we won't speak for Tucker, but we'll speak for Easton.
yeah. But like a lot of those guys, and I mean, granted, it's all old heads who are just like catching bluegills are the ones commenting anyways, but it's like a lot of these guys are like, you know, dogging them for, you know, all they want to do is throw a minnow. But it's like, if you know Easton, that guy wants to go throw 50-pound braid in a frog.
Yeah.
He's going to do what he has to do best to compete. Again, now I'm getting on a side tangent. But
That ain't a side tangent. We're talking about the state of the sport, how it's changed, and I think that is fully encompassed within that. And it makes perfect sense. And it is like, while we're on that little side tangent within the subject matter still.
Yep.
What the fuck is up with all that hate, dude? Oh my god. I usually don't get, like, I'm not a commenter.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, but like after Easton won the classic and I was like reading the comments, my blood boiled like so much that I responded like a protective mother. And I ain't even his mom. Why is, like, dude, how does that feel? Like, I ain't no scoper. I'm cool, right?
Yeah.
But how does that feel, man? Does it feel like you didn't earn it as much?
No, I mean,
Good.
I don't think so. No,
I agree.
because it's like, again, like you mentioned, it's just the sport of the game right now, and as a competitor, you just want to do what's best for you, like, and especially those guys. That's a different level. Like, I'm just fishing Toyotas, you know, trying to just learn, try and make some money along the way, but those guys are trying to make a living. Those guys are trying to feed their
Straight up.
family.
Straight up.
So it's like they're gonna do what they got to do, you know, to make sponsors happy and to put food on the table at the end of the day. Plus, just on
Absolutely.
the competitor side of things, anyone who, I mean, like, if you know Easton, that guy wants to beat anybody, and like a true competitor like that, that's just the nature of it. You're just gonna want to do whatever you have to do that's within the rules, but gives you the upper hand to be the best at what you're doing. And
I mean,
so it's
these guys aren't stripping for money.
no,
Like,
it could be worse. It could be a lot
there's
worse.
girls that decide to sell their bodies. I mean, that's somebody's daughter out there, right? And do you know how many comments I've read about that? None. Maybe that's the algorithm, but I think it's parenting, dude. I mean, why is nobody bitching about that? That's a major problem.
Yeah.
What about the kids shitting in boxes?
Yeah.
We got bigger problems than these
Much
tools
bigger
that are
problems.
allowed to catch a bass with.
Yeah.
For God's sakes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry that's happening to you guys.
No,
And,
it's all good. I
uh,
haven't caught any flack. But I mean, but it's there. So yeah.
I got to be honest, your generation's soft, so you got to toughen up anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thick skin, old school parenting, right? That's all that is. No,
I mean,
no.
bring it back. I'm
I
all
just
for it.
I felt really bad for Easton after that classic, and I
Yeah.
guess I haven't had a chance to really talk to him about it. We're supposed to go fishing soon, but I guess you and I, when we talked at the classic, it was just so
Yeah. Holy shit, what
happy
just
at the
happened?
time
Yeah.
that we haven't really, I don't think, even got to talk about that. And this whole deal's about you, but
No, it's all good.
while we're on the subject anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
how, I guess I know you and him have talked about that.
Yeah.
Like, is that burn him up a little bit?
I mean, it fuels the fire, but not in a bad way. It just
Yeah.
makes him want to just whoop everyone even worse. I mean, again, I don't want to speak on
Yeah.
behalf of him here, but I mean, that's just who he is. He's the guy where it just burns in him, and it's just like he just wants to beat everything and everyone in front of him at what he's doing, you know?
What pissed me off is that classic was a master class.
Yeah.
Like absolutely master class performance, and just nobody even understood what was happening enough to appreciate it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Like, you've got the best people in the world couldn't catch 5 fish
Yeah.
a day. Like, he busted them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so my question is competing with a minnow now. You mentioned, like, your tournaments now that you did rely on a minnow.
Yeah.
how has the minnow thing changed? Like, obviously, at first you could probably throw within a X window of them,
Yeah.
and they shoot up and eat it, and it was like, ah ha ha, that's
Yeah.
freaking sweet, right? And then it just doesn't happen as often, but like, you have to make it happen. Still, is it something that you think if you didn't just fish for 5 that you could rely on as much? Rambling question there, but
No. So you're saying like in the tournament sense or just...
yeah, like, so I guess part of it is just wanting to generally understand how it's different and why it's different and what you have to do to be successful with it now versus then.
Okay, yeah.
And then I fish the Champions Tour because it's the best thing to fish up in the, where I'm from. And every fish counts, not just 5. So is it like, would that even play? Is it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's like 7 questions in one,
it's all good.
so good luck.
No, so I'll backtrack to a little bit of what I was talking about before I started rambling about Gunnersville. So that was, I got to kind of see the other side of the minnow game and how that's kind of changed things now, is where they're almost seeing it too much. And I was totally like old school ledge fishing. I was catching them on a worm. Like day one, I had 2 on a 10XD, 1 on a big worm, 1 on a jig, and 1 on a Nico.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Yeah. It was bad. It was super fun. That was one of the most fun tournament days I've had in a long time. Really fun.
And where'd you finish on Gunnersville again? I just can't remember exactly.
27th.
27th.
I was 1 guy or 2 guys out of the cut.
Dude,
Yeah.
With the amount of people you guys fish against, like, that is a damn good finish.
Thank
And what was the winner doing old school ledge shit too?
I think he was. Yeah, going back looking through the gallery, he was throwing a 10 plug and big jig, big spoon. Yeah.
Cool.
And it seemed to be the case for a lot of like everyone. Like I talked with Dylan Nutt, he's been just destroying down there recently. He was catching a bunch of them on a big swim bait. I know guys were catching them also like big swim baits, big jigs. Yeah, it was like a cool like old school ledge derby, and to kind of talk about how they're getting conditioned to the minnow too. So Brody Robson, I had mentioned him. He's on the team. He lives from Gunnersville. Incredible fisherman, and Gunnersville is like his baby. He has that place just like dialed. And so this is kind of his, I don't want to steal everything that he's saying here because it's his brainchild. So I'm just relaying Brody's ideas, but I totally agree with it. So this winter, the floating deal on Gunnersville got like exposed worse than it's ever been.
I saw that.
Yeah. So, like, Hayden Marbett, like, kind of like brought it to the light, I feel like. And then there are guys, like, social media posts. But, it was just kind of like, oh, cool, it's happening.
Like, you need 30 pounds to top 5 of the thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it was like everyone kind of figured it out at once, where it was like, oh, my gosh, this is what they're doing. And they're doing it, like, right now. Like, we all need to be out here figuring it out. So that kind of happened this winter. And then, like, the New Year's tournament, I think, like, 34 something won their New Year's tournament.
Jesus.
5th place was like 30 3/4 or some crazy thing like that.
Hey, Happy New Year, Bill.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And so that happened where because I mean, who doesn't want to go just like catch giants floating all the time? So everyone was going out there, and now that the time came to where, there's only so many fish in the lake. Granted, I think there's a lot more than what we realize are in the lake, but at the same time, like, there's only so many fish in the lake.
Yep.
And I think a lot of what happened is a lot of those fish got caught. Because I think there was something because I don't think it was as much the bait. I think it had to do with something with pressure or something. Because
like barometric or fishing pressure?
Yeah. Because it almost seemed like every single bass in the system was from the surface to 8 feet down. Like, it was incredible what was happening there for 2 months. So they just got totally just exposed and just hammered by people. And so now the theory, at least Brody's theory, and I totally agree with it, is that just so many fish got hammered that now they're just like, there's another minnow. And granted, it's always going to have a place just because of what it is, Yeah. But I think that's why at that Toyota series, like, the minnow just didn't play that much. It's just because they're just so and I saw it. I mean, like, there were schools where it's like, oh my gosh, there's like 60 of them. They're like a foot or 2 off, and like, you're like, oh yeah. You throw the minnow over it and like 4 of them just kind of like, and then you throw a big worm in there and you like give it one pull and dunk. So it's like that's kind of a cool, I mean, very specific case of where they're definitely becoming conditioned to it, and things are totally changing, and it's almost reversing to where it's like old school.
You probably got a live scope, but I bet you don't have the scoping rod from Vocelka Fishing and Custom, designed to hit those targets right on the noggin on that live scope, whether you're fishing a 3-inch minnow all the way up to a 6-inch minnow, from a 16th ounce all the way up to a 1/4 ounce. This is the perfect mid-strolling rod. Visit VocelkaFishing.com. Check it out today. Scope straight or scope home, ladies and gentlemen.
School is kind of coming back in a way, at least in
yeah.
certain times and places.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well, from what you mentioned with like the Chick tournament and then Pickwick, and we noticed this on the elites last year when everybody started, like, when the Facebook comment warriors started throwing their spears.
Yeah.
Right after it was not Fork, but the one between Louisiana and Texas.
Toledo.
Yes,
Yep.
Toledo Bend and Fork both got one.
Yeah, minnow.
That must be really just a what, like, full circle, right? Full circle. Like, let's look at, it's like zebra mussels when they first enter a lake. They freaking go bonkers. They start banging each other. They start having kids, and all of a sudden, just a zebra mussel gangbang, right? But then, like, it levels off.
Yep.
And I feel like very similar to what we're talking about here with the minnow, or like the chatterbait. When that first came out, like, people were winning stuff on a chatterbait year round. A-rig, same thing. But once those fish get conditioned to it, it becomes a seasonal deal.
Yeah.
Right? So am I understanding this correctly, that minnow window, there's still probably a window for it, but it's like not a year-round deal like it was when you guys figured it out down there.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it seems like I said, it's just always gonna play just because of what it is, you know. It's always gonna be there, and like those winter months, I think it's always gonna be the deal. But again, like how there's nuances now in minnows, now there's just so many other things that we're figuring out to where it's like, this is a deal, and so it's going to be kind of an interesting shift to see, because now it's like, well, they're getting smart to the minnow, so it's getting harder to catch them on them, but now we're throwing other things, so now they're not seeing the minnow as much. So I think it's going to be this constant, like, kind of levy system of where things go back and forth, and who knows, maybe they'll just get really smart to the minnow. But
well, I've definitely noticed, like, it seems like the world's changing faster in general, right? Like, the world's moving faster, changing faster. Like, communicate messages are received quicker and sent back quicker. It just makes me question what that future looks like, and it's like, is it going to be better for me because the bass are going to be more like me, completely ADD and like freaking all over the place? Like, maybe I'm like dialed, I'm ready to go, but for some reason I feel like we used to only have so many things to throw at them, and now it's like, I don't know what the hell they get conditioned to besides like maybe a certain technique or movement, because there's so many lures, dude.
yeah.
There's so many lures that I don't know how a bass is like, I've seen that one before. Dude, there's 100 anglers fishing this tournament, and there's 8,000 lures they could be throwing, more probably. My question is like, what is a sneaky follow-up technique? Because I've got a few of these that I've learned when they're not eating my minnow that I can kind of rely on and that are sneaky. Like, what are some kind of follow-up techniques? If you say Nico rig, no. I already knew that.
I mean, again, this is one everybody already knows, but like a jerkbait for me, I'm like, I love throwing jerkbait. That's like one of my things that I'm just like confident in, love doing it. And there's a lot of nuances to that too, where it's almost like the minnow, how like, you know, a freeloader is so much different than a sock. It's like, there's that with jerkbaits, you know. There's crazy tiny nuances in every single one. And there's always a time and a place too, it seems like, for floating fish and like the minnow fish side of things where when they're not going for a minnow, that's like one of my first ones that I'm usually going for as a jerkbait.
Yeah.
Just because there's always some way to make them react to a jerkbait, I feel like.
I want to learn things about jerkbaits because I have a lot to learn with jerkbaits. It's not the thing I pick up like when I need a bite, and I caught a bunch today on it, but like besides spring and fall, I don't pick it up enough, Nick. So like, let's dive into the belly of that beast for a sec because I have questions and things to learn there. So when you mentioned nuances of a jerkbait and then like by season, I feel like I'm better at the slow jerkbait thing, colder water, than I am, I guess, the midsummer jerkbait thing. Maybe it's just Minnesota. Maybe there could be an aspect to that because we don't have a ton of shad up where we're at. I feel like Pokegama would be a place where I've caught them in the summer on it.
Yeah.
But walk me through a little bit of that. I'm sure it's sounds like a jerkbait's like a tube to me, so I could talk for 3 hours about that. But anyway.
So, I guess the first thing that comes to mind, and I'm sure for some people this is like, well, no shit, duh, but like trebles. Trebles is huge. And I have like a bag just full of trebles. And I love like playing with different brands, different sizes, and kind of what they all do on different jerkbaits. Because it's different on every single one. And some jerkbaits, like, it's wild. I've seen it where you can put on like the Gami SPs and it's like they won't touch it, and then you put on a Ryugi and then they'll bite it.
Why is that, you think?
I think it's more so I think part of it's kind of like positioning of the bait.
Yep.
And how it just kind of gets weighted out.
Yep.
And then also, obviously, I mean, weight's the biggest thing because weight obviously leads to how it's going to act, and then also how it's going to sink. And I mean, that's the two biggest, to me, that's like the biggest reaction factors of it, is if it's doing this, and then what it's doing going this way.
Yeah. So floating, suspending, or slow sinking, right? Okay. Yep.
And pretty much most of the time, I almost never have my jerkbait sinking. There's very few times, and this year was kind of really when I started to mess with that and got into it was at Wheeler, the college national championship. I caught almost every single one of my fish on a jerkbait, and that was like early April, so fish were just, there was like schools, like ledge schools were just starting to get out and stuff, and that's how I was catching pretty much the majority of my fish. Was actually, I was throwing 110 and then a Maverick, and I was putting big hooks on them, and it was one of the coolest bites I've ever had. Working it like just a normal jerkbait, I was kind of throwing it just to kind of like pull schools up just to kind of get a look at them, and they just wouldn't eat it, but it'd get them fired up.
Yeah.
So I messed with putting the bigger hooks on them to really sink it down to them, and I put instead
like get it closer to them.
Yep. So I put, instead of like normally 6s are kind of the go-tos. Sorry.
No, you're good. It's probably just me thinking about that fan up there. Keep going.
So 6s are kind of my normal like go-to. That kind of seems to be like, as far as if you want it to get it to barely your eyes or just kind of get them to suspend, 6 is kind of like the game across most jerkbait brands and most treble size,
Number 6 hook.
Yep,
right?
number 6s. Yep, and I usually use like the Ryugis are really good. The Gamakatsu, like the SP Shields, I think they're called. They're like the silver ones.
Yep.
I think they're new as of like last year. I love those. Those things are incredible.
The saltwater looking ones?
Yep. Yeah, those things are incredible.
Okay. Yep.
And so what I was doing is, instead of a 6, I was putting number 4s on. And I was basically working it like a crankbait. I was reeling it down to depth, and then I'd start whacking it, and then I'd just start working it like normal. And the other thing where it was cool. It was one of the most fun bites I've ever been on. The current got so crazy strong. We had big storms coming. So in practice, they were pushing like 10,000 out the top and 10,000 out the bottom. By tournament day, it was like 80,000 out the top, and I can't remember what it was out the bottom, but a lot.
How does that convert to English?
It's like cubic inches. I don't even know, to
It's
be
a lot of
honest.
freaking water.
Yeah,
moving.
yeah, a lot of water moving.
10,000 gallons.
Yeah, it's
80,000 gallons. They moved 80,000 gallons that week.
Yeah.
Anyway, so flow was high, current was moving.
So basic, and then the wind was just terrible. Excuse me. And so the wind, like the last day of the tournament especially, the wind was coming against the current. So it was like just making it terrible to fish. And most of what I was doing, I mean, to be honest, like there's something with the jerkbait, and this is something that's kind of interesting too, is like there's times where you almost don't use live scope with it.
What?
Yeah.
You're going to need to elaborate on that.
So, and I don't know what that is, where it's like, and I've had times where this first was kind of interesting, like noticed it with Easton and stuff when we were like practicing. You know, obviously like when we would break stuff down, we'd always try and be throwing different stuff. Just to, you know, obviously you just don't want to be throwing the same thing as, you know, having two guys in the boat. So we'd always be trying to do different stuff. And there were just times where, like, there's times, like at Toho, that's what first comes to mind, is he'd be running, you know, we're in his boat, he's running his boat, and I'd be catching him behind him, just fan casting a jerkbait. And I would, like, wouldn't even look at scope. And there were times where, like, I'm not trying to, like, toot my horn, but I'd be catching more than him, just fan casting and just working it. And I don't know if that's just, like, I had the bait that they wanted more than what he was throwing, kind of a thing.
That happened today. So just so you know, you're not tooting. And that happened with JP. When I was scoping today, he'd catch him on a jerk. And when I'd scope with a jerk, I wouldn't catch him.
Yeah, there's
and
something to it.
And when he was scoping, I would throw a jerk and I would catch him.
Mm-hmm. There's something
to it. So I can't
it.
believe you just said that.
Yeah. I think
I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. So I think it has something to do with, like, the cadence, because obviously when you're on scope and you just, like, are so locked in, like, nothing's even happening around you, you know?
You work your bait like shit.
So I almost think it's something to where it's, like, because when you're, like, just fan cast, like, you just blind cast and then you just kind of, like, get, like, a cadence in your head. It's just, like, a perfect cadence. I think there's sometimes something for that, to where it just, like, something just clicks with fish where they just get so pissed off. They're just, like, that cadence just clicks. And then I notice, like, sometimes on scope where it's, like, you know, sometimes obviously on jerkbait, it's, like, you start working it fast and then it gets them fired up. But then there's times where it's, like, you see them start to get fired up and then you go, and then they veer off of it.
That happened today.
It's one of those things where it's like, you should have just kept doing this, but since you saw him get excited, your brain just went, like, you know, and then
make it run away from him.
Yeah, right.
Minnow it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think that's kind of part of it there too, and that was like my deal at Wheeler, was like I would literally, and it was so hard, like you couldn't even scope with the current and the wind, and it was just brutal. So I was literally and I was doing this too when the current picked up and it wasn't even windy. I literally just spot locked and I just had like my casts and I would just sit there and just work the jerkbait. I'd get it down to depth and it was like 6 to 8 foot ledges. I'd get it down and I'd just start whacking the bottom. I just had like a cadence of just like, and all of a sudden I'd just load up. And every single time I would like try and make it happen on scope, I just couldn't catch them. But every single time I just like spot locked and just like got my current, or just like got my rhythm down, I'd catch them. I don't know. It's a weird
had that
deal.
thought today, dude. Like when I scope, I feel like because I had some issues with my scope, so it just, you know, I got it resolved here last week or two. So I haven't been scoping much like since last fall. So I thought about that today. I'm like, maybe I should just not scope. I'm way better at working my like. It's like playing the drums. Like, you suck at playing the drums till you practice.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So jerkbait, are you noticing just? It's pretty obvious. You pause it longer, the colder the water.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like different jerkbaits, and then like how I've noticed certain jerkbaits, like I'm overworking them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other jerkbaits like, shit, I need a stiffer rod.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What are some things you put together with that?
So yeah, that's definitely something that's an interesting thing too. And I don't totally have a perfect rhythm for everything. Like, and maybe it's just, I just keep it simple. So like the rod that I use a ton is just a 1-eye jack. It's a 6.9 medium, the Arc.
Yep.
It's like $110 rod, and it's like one of the best jerkbait rods I've like ever felt. I love that thing. And then the other rod I scope with is just like, or jerk with, is just a 7-foot medium. It's a little bit stiffer, and that's what I do with like 120s, 130s, like the bigger sizes.
Yep.
And like everything else, I just do on like the one-eyed jack.
Got it.
And this is kind of something too, like, and it's just me. Maybe that I don't know, but I like never throw deep diving jerkbaits anymore. I prefer like weighting them or stripping them over deep diving ones.
Now you're talking just like even a +1?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I never throw a +1 anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why? What's your thoughts on that?
Part of why is like, and part of this is kind of seeing like underwaters and stuff too. Thankfully, working at Wired to Fish, shooting underwaters and stuff, that's kind of helps the cause a little bit.
I bet it does.
But also, I mean, like, even just next to the boat, you have, like, a normal 110 and then a +1. And the normal one is going to, it's just going to, once you hit it at depth, it's just going to go forward. But I feel like the +1s just want to keep going down.
They are very nose down now that you mention it.
And, I mean, at least, I don't know, bait fish, I would imagine, don't, naturally flee down. They want to flee up more often. It seems like that's how you get a lot of triggering. And maybe I'm missing something. There could definitely be a time where it's like they want to eat down, but I feel like most of the time it's like, and that's one thing I've noticed too, like working it, like you'll get them to where they're kind of like, and following it. And then if you like snap your rod up and then get your jerkbait to go up, sometimes that can be like the magic ticket to where it's like, boom.
I've noticed that. A guy told me about that, and I've definitely got some fish to bite.
Mm-hmm.
Just never, not a lot.
Yeah.
Just like,
yeah, it's like every once in a while it works.
One per cast.
Yeah.
I usually do it one per cast, like 2/3 of the way back.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I mixed that one in.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's just something with the action. And again, I'm sure that there's a like time and place. I can see it where it's really cold. If you were just trying to do like jerk and then like wait a minute. It's a good one.
It's a Wichita lineman. You know that song?
Oh yeah, I know the song.
In the wire.
Every time I hear it.
I hear you creeping through the wall. Great tune and a great man right there. Did you know that one of the better quick side quests, one of the better just lines I've ever heard on a podcast was, a lot of us have caught bass, but
But how many of us have shot?
have you Shaka Khan to bass?
He has. I know he has.
Have a what?
Shaka Khan.
to bass.
I Shaka Khan that thing. So, do you know who Shaka Khan is?
No.
All right.
You're about
Enlighten me.
You're gonna learn today. Well, so I
Johnson was telling a story about
dark fish that like to just be crazy.
Yeah, he was telling a story about a smallmouth. He's like, it came out of the water and it looked like Shaka Khan.
Dancing.
And that's Shaka Khan.
So you gotta play the jam though.
Yeah.
But you gotta play the jam though.
I think, if you're driving to the lake in the morning and you're trying to get in the zone for the day and you're not playing Shaka Khan, I don't know what the fuck you're doing with your life, okay? Because this is a voice of an angel.
One
and
of my roommates used to play this, like it just jammed to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll let it get into it so we don't get copyrighted, but tell me you've heard this song.
Wow. I don't think I have.
Yeah, but now it's burned in your memory
Yeah.
for life. For life.
We'll be playing it.
No, it will be burned in your life.
That's all we're gonna hear at the Maxwell ramp in the morning.
Some people catch bass, other people Shaka Khan.
Some people
them
catch
bass.
more of them than the rest of us do.
Celebrity guest appearance. Thank you, Johnston. The only reason I know who Shaka Khan is because my dad listened to Shaka Khan when I was a kid. But this is... Oh, wait. This is a slow build. You've never heard Shaka Khan? Seriously?
Never.
What's wrong with you kids?
Have you?
Oh, yeah. No? There's only a few goals we have with this podcast. Making Shaka Khan great again is one of them.
Wow.
You know,
I can get down with it.
you said the 80s were coming back. Big worm, baby. Big 10-inch worm, Shaka Khan on them bass. What were you even talking about?
Jerkbait.
Jerkbaits.
Something jerkbait.
Yeah,
I don't know.
nose down of the 110,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
That makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what you're telling me, because I have so many 110s, it's a better cold water jerkbait.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how the 110 got its staple, right? Is because it has kind of a nose down posture, and it has that little when you pause it.
Yep.
And that's why it's a good cold water jerkbait. And that nose downness, to me, in my head, screams more cold
Yeah.
water.
100%.
And I noticed today I threw one of the +1, one of the regular. The regular one glides a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Has
I think that's a huge part of it too.
interesting.
It's a lot more like, and yeah, you can get it to do like crazier stuff, but a +1 is just kind of like, it's just kind of the same thing.
I would agree.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So, what about when you're dealing with structure? Because we've seen Patrick Walters win an event, and that's kind of what turned me on to the +1, to be honest with you. So this is a really, actually, I'm happy we're having this conversation because, like I said, I have a lot to learn on this. But like when Patrick Walters was talking about how he liked the +1 because he had to bang it into a stump, and it just didn't. But that's a specific type of jerk. That's a banging jerk, right? And I guess I think about, you mentioned the sinking jerk bait. I had a deal, this is a cold water thing, but Megabass made a saltwater +1, and that was a slow sink. And that thing, I could let it basically get to the bottom, so like fall smallmouth on a cloudy day, a little dirtier water, you know, that 10 to 18 foot. Throw that thing out, and then you just let it sink, and I'd set my rod down, wait till it hit the bottom, then it would just sit nose down, and I'd just go and bang, bang, bang into some stuff, and then just probably look kind of dead, and they'd eat it. But that's the only time I've really gotten them on a sinking one. But I'm just processing everything you've said, and Dane's gonna like this episode when it comes out. All the jerkiness of the jerk baits. And Nick, I do want you to check out Dane's jerkbait rod if you said you like that one you've got, because he makes a jerk and twitch rod that, to me,
I need to see that.
You'd like to have it in your hand.
It's like butter.
So it's like the perfect, in my mind, it's the perfect plus like 110 rod, like jerkbait rod, versus you have like an Edo Shiner. You mentioned kind of your two jerkbait rods. There's that jerkbait, there's that cold water jerkbait rod, like, or that jerkbait that's easy to overwork. The jerk and twitch is like the freaking rod for that.
Two slightly longer, heavier ones.
I'm excited to try them. We've talked about this. We've been talking about making your something like that bigger one. But explain, I guess. I did a shitty job of explaining it, but explain to people who maybe don't understand. To me, the Edo Shiner or a re-range, or that's like a rod that you need a little more rod to. You need the rod helping you work that bait a little bit more. Versus a 110, it seems like you almost want a rod that's going to help you work it less hard, you know?
Yeah, and that's a huge part of the whole system, is just the rod itself. And to kind of touch back, I don't personally like a super limp jerkbait rod.
Interesting.
And I definitely think like, so having kind of, it's almost like more of like the parabolicness is more important, but not in like, it's hard to like explain. It's one of those things where you can like envision it kind of a thing, but it's like hard to explain because you almost want it like parabolic, but not in like a glass rod way.
Well, you don't want it moderate.
It's like,
like you don't want the whole rod to be folding over. Jerk, right?
Exactly. Yep. But you need kind of like the backbone to where, like you said, to kind of like impart the action. Like that's the whole point of it, obviously, is to get that thing moving. So yeah, personally, I like a little bit stiffer rod. Like the one-eyed jack, it bends a decent bit, but it's almost still like snappy. Like not, it's not very limber. It like has some stoutness to it, you know, but it also bends a lot. So that's kind of why I like that for like the regular ones. And then that other medium that I use, it's actually like it's a graphite cranking rod. So it doesn't have like the glass, wimpiness, but it still has the bend to where it, like has the good tip to where you can get a bunch of action out of the backbone to where it really gets things cracking. But then obviously you don't lose fish because it keeps them pinned, when it loads up on them.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a huge thing too for it.
That's definitely, I think, I don't know, I'll be curious because Dane's rod is a medium extra fast. So, like, that tip moves, like, a bunch, but, like, this doesn't. So, like, for a 110, it's perfect. And then when you load up, it has that secondary kind of load because it's versus, like, a medium heavy extra fast where it really, there's not a lot of load in the back. But how about line? So you mentioned you change hooks and mess with hooks a lot. I guess, how do you feel about line?
That's one thing I don't ever mess with. I'm just like
that's your constant
12-pound red label. That's
I like it. Yep,
that's just what I do. Yeah, just
that
12
makes
pound.
sense.
And I've messed with the mono stuff. I've tried it, and I don't know. I just can't really get with it. I don't like. I like the responsiveness of fluoro. I feel like you just get definitely a lot more out of the bait. You just get a better feel of what the bait's doing with fluoro over mono. So I'm just a 12-pound red label till I die guy.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. What's easier and quicker to change to get that up, down, or in the middle?
Yeah.
A hook's a lot quicker to change than
100%.
you're like, no, let me re-spool quick.
Yeah.
Buddy, we weigh in an hour.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's a split ring pliers.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. Makes perfect sense. My question is the rising bait thing. And I feel like that's where I probably have the most to learn because I seem to do best when you need to make the thing suspend or sink from the sounds of it. So like a floating jerkbait and which jerkbaits and how quick it floats and how that changes how you work the bait.
Yeah.
Like I have questions on all of it.
Yeah. So for the most part, I feel like suspending is just the way to go, like across the board for the most part.
If you're gonna pick something, that's kind of your choice.
Yeah, that's just like the way to go. That's just what works best most of the time. I would say that like the rising side of things is crazy nuance, and there's like very specific times. I feel like when you have fish that are like floating high, that's when that one can kind of play, just because
high flyers.
Then it kind of helps you really, like, a lot of that's just like reaction. Like you're not working your bait slow, you obviously are working it quick, and I feel like that kind of helps with things. And then if they want it, I've seen like times on the Kusa where it's like having it rise and then, snapping it like crazy and then pausing it and then it just like floating away. I don't know if it just looks like one that just like is kind of dying and just like getting away from them kind of a thing. I think is probably what's happening there, but
do minnows float when they die?
I don't know.
What do shad float or sink when they die?
I mean,
it depends on where in the column they die at.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because of the pressure change?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, just thinking of like times where I've seen them where it's like all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, there's a shad right there. And they're just kind of like, just kind of like gimping along. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's kind of, and I mean, I've even seen it too, where it's like, you'll see a shad kind of just like barely cruising along the top, and all of a sudden they'll just get like a spot will just come up and destroy them, kind of a thing.
Cool.
So I think that's kind of part of it too, is just like a lot of shad that's just kind of naturally just what they do is just like anytime the water's cold, it's just like just to the surface they go.
That is interesting. Is that, do you think, why they run up the backs of them creeks?
I think so. Yeah.
Because like we're stuck up here anyway. Might as well get something. A bed to lay on.
Yeah.
Is that
and
it?
That's a whole nother world, like the shad side of things. Like being down there for 5 years, I still I know a million times more what I did going down there, and I still feel like I'm just a rookie in that category. Where like,
what does that make me?
But as far as like truly understanding what shad do and stuff, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's so. I mean.
Can you like bring me to rookie status? I would love to be a rookie on this whole ordeal. Like,
I mean, like,
how do what?
Yeah.
What?
So like, as far as a 101 goes, I mean, now I think of other times where it's like totally the opposite. I've seen times in like September where they're like every shad in the lake is like up here, and I've seen times like a month later where all the shad's totally on the bottom. So I think it has something to do with turnover and stuff.
Yeah.
to where, and that's another thing that's like, oh my gosh, because that changes so much down there too with like, obviously, sorry, I keep leaning back.
No, it's more comfortable to do that. Your neck's probably sore.
Yeah. Gosh, what was I saying?
Just 3 more out, just a couple more. Just a little more scoping.
Yeah.
It's okay. See it swimming there? Oh, there.
Shit, what was I saying?
Hey guys, wanted to share with you a sneaky little trick I found when I was at Thorne Brothers the other day. This is a new Japanese bait that came out, and this falls into the gravity trend category. You guys have maybe heard of a Depths cover scat or a Yamamoto Yamatanuki. These are weighted soft plastics that have proven to be very effective at catching bass, not only just in general, but especially pressured fish. Well, this new deal that just came over from Japan, Thorne Brothers got these in. It's called the AK Punch. It's made by Issei, and you'll kind of notice it looks a little funny. Looks like a scrotum, if you will, or some private parts. And they make 2 sizes here. I've got a 2.4 and a 2.8. Thorne Brothers has both of these on the shelves, and that's what I picked up. And rumors of a 3.3 inch coming out. But the big thing with this bait is it's completely different than the cover scat and Yamatanuki in terms of its action. So looking at a close-up, this is the 2.8 here. What you're going to see is it's got this voluptuous tail there that looks like a ball sack. And what that tail does is it actually vibrates when you pull it. So think of that weighted soft plastic having a nice erratic fall, and then when you pull it, it's going to vibrate your rod like a chatterbait. So you're putting a Ned rig size plastic into cover and generating reaction strikes from it. But looking at the Japanese and how they're rigging it over in Japan, something I wanted to share is they're adding a nail weight into the sack, and they're putting it right there just like that. So that's a 1/16 ounce nail weight you're going to put, perpendicular in the scrotum there. And what that does is it's going to cause this bait to backslide, okay? And it's also going to increase that vibration when you pull it away from that fish. So if you think about it, you're able to skip that up under a dock. It's going to backslide pretty erratic. It's going to fish heavier than a cover scat. And then when you pull that, there's a fish behind it, you pull it away, and then it's going to fall right back into that fish. So if you're looking to pick up probably one of the sneakiest bite-gettingest lures out there, Thorne Brothers just got these in. It's the AK Punch from Issei. Pick you up a 2.4 or a 2.8. Remember that nail weight trick, and then there's various hooks you can use. So right here we've got a screw lock hook, so that's actually going to tear up less plastic. So if you don't want that nose to tear on the bait as much, definitely recommend that Masayuki hook from Decoy. It'd be a 1/0 for the 2.4 and a 2/0 for the 2.8. Or else the KG worm from Decoy, you're going to go down in a size, so number 1 and then a 1/0. So the 2.4 versus the 2.8. So the 2.4, the baby size one, is designed to fish on spinning gear. So get you a Vocelka fishing in custom, medium or medium light action, up to 12-pound test fluorocarbon on this one. And the 2.8, you can fish on a lighter bait caster up to 16-pound fluorocarbon. So consider, this your spinning rod version, this your bait casting rod version. And that rod I like for this bait casting version is going to be Vocelka Fishing and Customs MB736. So that's a lighter, medium, heavy 7-foot rod. So get you some of that, some 15-pound fluorocarbon, teabag you some bass this year. Pick you up the AK Punch from Thorne Brothers today, and don't tell nobody.
You were saying something really cool and I fucked it up.
No, it's all good. That was funny. Shad.
Oh yeah.
Shad.
Sometimes they'll be on top, sometimes they'll be on bottom. They're just like women.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, turnover. That's what I was getting at.
Thank you.
The turnover side of things. It's hard to judge down there because I think current has such a deal to play with it too. Like that is
makes
another
sense,
thing.
yeah.
In like 5 years, I never got dialed on just being able to be like, okay, this is what the lake's doing. And the shad can kind of give you a clue because obviously they're just not going to be where there's no oxygen. So like there you can get a pretty good idea of kind of what's happening. But as far as being able to predict like, okay, yep, like it's going to happen here. And I don't know if there's ever really a time you can do that. But like down there especially, it was always hard to get like a pin on things of when exactly what was happening. It's like,
I don't think you're the only one because it's not like all the locals down there were like, well, at least we still know the shad migration. No, they got their asses kicked too. Like, so yeah, like no, it sounds like no one's got it figured out because if you guys don't, the guy fishing 40 years sure as hell doesn't because he ain't catching them better than you guys.
yeah.
But so time on the water allows you to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, so from the sounds of it, what you're telling me is shad are a soft enough structure that no one ever has them fully figured out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you still have to spend some time
Yeah.
on the water. You can't just say, I'm going to put my boat in, all the shad are going to be right there, and I'm going to drive my boat there, I'm going to cast by them shad, and I'm going to catch bass. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I feel like the answer is somewhere in between that. Put your boat in the water, spend time, and I'm going to put my boat in the water, drive right here because the shad are right here.
100%.
So what does that gray look like? And I guess there is a lot you have learned.
Yeah.
And there's probably a lot we all have to learn. That's the beauty of this sport. That's why we're addicted to it.
Mm-hmm.
What's some things you have learned? And like, there's times when they go up. There's times when they go down. It's sunny. It's cloudy. It's spring. It's fall. It's cold. It's warm.
Yeah.
It's cloudy. Like,
Yeah.
those are your things that affect that, right?
Mhm.
They're pulling this hard versus they're not pulling. That's
Yep.
totally going to change how they position.
Mhm.
Wind's going this way, wind's going that way. Good luck patterning them bastards. Like, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, so as far as like, in terms of just like breaking it down, if I was just like going to a place and I'm like, what are they doing? Immediately, like away, if it's like a time of year, like obviously kind of like the fall is when really shad starts to come into play. Like fall, winter, I feel like that's where that's really like you got to be where the shad are kind of a thing. And it's like if you're rolling up to a place, or if I was rolling up to a place, had no idea where to go, I'm probably going to start in the main channel, especially if it's like kind of where things are starting to get cold. It seems like that's when a lot of the bait is like still in the main channel, and that's kind of when the fish are starting to float. That's when a lot of the bait's up high. And if they're not in the main channel, then it's just like working your way to a creek, because they're either going to be somewhere in the main channel or they're going to be somewhere in the back of a creek and somewhere in between. Again, there's obviously times, like you said, where it's like, okay, it's October. They're not all the way back, but they're not all the way in the main channel. You know, they're somewhere in between kind of a thing. But, so yeah, and then there's also goes into like wind and, like you said, current. And that's something I don't have totally dialed either. It's like, I would assume that nobody does, you know, the current side of things and how that affects shad, but.
Unless you know the guy that's pulling it. I don't know how the heck
Yeah.
you can,
Yeah.
like, do you guys, is there a way to predict when they're going to pull current?
So, kinda not really. It really depends on the lake. That was what was really wild to me, is some lakes, and that's the other hard thing where it like takes a lot. That's what, like, those guys are incredible, like the Nuts and Banks and these guys who are just like destroying down there. I think that's one thing that they just have really dialed. Personally, I mean, I haven't like dove into this with them, and I'm sure they wouldn't want to talk about it, but like I would think that that's one thing that they have like dialed. And I know, like, talking with, I think it was Dylan, they had been talking about, like, they were like, oh yeah, well, we called the lockmaster about this. So I think it's one of those things where those guys will like call individual lockmasters and be like, do you think you guys will start pulling that? And again, this is all like hypothetical here. I might be totally just bullshitting.
Well, Dylan, that's a big listener. So Dylan, I guess, let us know.
Yeah.
You know, I know he's a big fan of mine.
Yeah. And again, maybe I'm saying stuff that's like,
No,
the Southern guys are like, yeah, we do this all the time. But like, I think that's a huge part of it, is like those guys just understand the schedules and can be like, okay, they're brewing 70 out the top, 60 out the bottom. It's this time of year. Like, okay, this is what this should be doing. I think that's a lot
Bill,
of what happens.
Bill, turn it down.
Yeah, right. They're
Turn
off
it down.
the
I
plug.
got this thing locked up.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like, it's hard. That's like, each system is so much different because each dam is different. So that's one thing that's wild, is because that's what took me a while, and I still don't know, is like Gunnersville will have, so like the Nickajack Dam will have like 6 this isn't exact numbers, but it'll have like 6 generators and then like 10 spill gates. But then the Wheeler Dam on the bottom will have like, or I guess the Gunnersville Dam on the bottom, that'll have like 4 spillways and then 4 generators. So they're all different.
Yeah.
So then when you look at the app, you might be like, holy shit, like they're pushing, or 4 generators are on, but it's really nothing for that place. So that's what was really hard too, is because you'd look at the app and then be like the TVA app. That's what we use
Got it,
for like
the TVA app.
Anywhere that's the TVA, that's like the system to use pretty much.
Is that so? Like LOL stands for laugh out loud.
Yeah.
So
Tennessee Valley Association. Yeah. Yeah.
kids. I'm just kidding. That's so I didn't even think about that though. Like I remember this like 10 killer, they were talking about why the water stayed high, and it was because of like the land and the houses below. If they let it all go too quick, it would flood what's below it, right? So that was, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense, but I never even thought of like the amount of generators.
Yeah, there's like generators and then spillways. That's like the biggest things.
Oh yeah, like Pool 8 has 3
Yeah.
spillways or something.
Yep, something. Yeah.
Has 8 spillways.
Yeah.
Fishing there next week. 10 spillways, 12 spillways, 15 generators. No big deal. Good luck finding all of them. But is there a way to know, I guess? So the TVA app, I know like the app I use for up here is called, I think, Rivercast. It's probably like the worst one. I don't know. But is there a way to know how many generators they have without like driving up to the dam and looking like, and like understanding dam
I mean, I
infrastructure?
can pull it up even.
Really? This is cool.
Um,
So it'll kind of detail that.
Kinda, yeah. That's kind of the, like I was talking about, the tough part to it.
Right,
So, like,
right. So the bottom of
shit.
Gunnersville almost needs to be pulling higher than the top end to
Yeah.
be equivalent.
Somewhat, and that's the other thing that's wild, is some places the top matters more than the bottom dam, and then other places the bottom dam matters more than the top dam.
Well, I would suppose it matters when too.
And who pulls what? Yeah, it's wild. It's a whole thing. So like they're 21, 2 generators or more. That's the other thing.
Oh,
They're, like
or
sometimes
more.
not specific.
Yeah.
And then that's your biggest thing, is like your discharge. And then you kind of get like your scheduled what it might look like, and then those are always different too.
We're thinking about
So you
pulling
can-
this
yeah,
much
yeah.
water, but we're not sure
Yeah,
yet.
but we might get an inch of rain, and then now we're gonna pull 40,000 more. So it's like totally, for the like if you get like just perfect weather, then you can pretty much bet what they put is gonna be what's gonna happen. But if you get rain in the forecast, it's like you just gotta just go and just almost not even work. I mean, you have to watch it obviously to like kind of if you want to like pattern it a couple days. But if it's just like Derby day, it's like just don't even think about it, just go fish almost. And then obviously like keeping the schedule and kind of seeing your upward climb. Like that was kind of a thing at Wheeler too, was they would kick it on every morning at like 6 or something, so it would get higher and higher and higher and stronger and stronger and stronger as the day went on. So there it kind of mattered to be like, okay, I found them here at this. I was like trying to like keep notes. At the end of the day, it really didn't matter. It was more positioning. It would be like at 100,000 they'd be here, and then at 80,000 they'd be like another 15 yards ahead or something, kind of thing. But
Oh, so it wasn't like 2 cast lengths,
yeah,
right?
But
Where
I know,
you'd have to-
yeah. But
Okay.
at like Gunnersville and stuff, I know like there were schools. Me and Brody, that guy I was talking about earlier, we worked pretty close together in that event, and we were kind of like keeping tabs on schools and stuff, like stuff that we had both found, and it was wild to be like. So I found like we'd be talking about one school, and I'd be like, well, yeah, I was there at like 9 a.m. and there's like 20 of them, and then he's like, oh, I checked at like 11, and there was like 60 of them. And then go back again at like 2 o'clock, and they're just like all gone.
And you're like, well, I checked it at 2 a.m. and they all left, so fuck you.
Yeah, right. And so that's kind of weird too, is like how much current can play there into that whole side of things, is like how they show, how they come, and then that's also like time of day. And again, now I'm getting
Where do they go, you
upset.
think? Like, so like 2 p.m. they're gone.
Yeah.
Like they gotta go somewhere. But like the river, they're like either here or like all the way up there, and then in between they're like swimming. That's it.
Yeah.
So do you think they left and like went far away? Or do they go like 15 feet under a rock?
Yeah. I mean, I would think that they wouldn't go too far, just because, I mean, and again, maybe I'm totally wrong. This is just like, I don't know, at least in my head, like they don't want to just burn energy for no reason. So it's like, you know, if it's a ledge school, I would imagine that maybe they just dip off to where you can't like see them, or, you know, maybe I do think almost that bass go deeper than what we give them credit for, or what we think they do. That's kind of a
Interesting.
theory that I have with that kind of thing.
Yep.
And again, maybe I'm just like need to shut my mouth, but like I don't know, because
You think
it's
they
like
go out and down?
I almost do, yeah, because it's like I just don't know where else they could go to where it's like,
It's the safest place.
yeah, exactly. Like
That's the thing. Like nobody's fishing
yeah,
there.
yeah. To
Kind of
dip
like them
like
floaters.
Yeah.
before. Dude, you just gave away the future bass fishing.
right. That's when we'd kill everything if they're bassing 40 feet in the middle of Gunnersville and we'd be pulling them up. But
Yeah, wouldn't that be
Yeah.
crazy? Somebody's laughing at us right now.
yeah, yeah. Some old head is just chuckling. Yeah, but
I think your secret's safe.
yeah,
I think we
I don't think it's a
dodged a bullet.
secret. Yeah,
That's what's interesting. It's like there's food everywhere. It seems like they go to. Have you ever seen that? This is probably the best stand-up comedy joke of all time. Have you ever heard of like Sam Kinison?
I don't think I have.
Wow, we're just going into my childhood
Yeah.
tonight. But like this, based on what we're talking about right now, this resonates with me. I'm on the YouTube app, and it brought me to Thorne Brothers. Looks like they're running free shipping right now. That's awesome. Got some awesome JDM tackle. Just gonna close the app out, go back. Just because there's a lot of young people listening, this is a bit that just,
Oh yeah, I've seen him. Yeah,
this guy's nuts. I think he only lived for like 20 years.
my dad's talked about it and showed me clips of him.
Your dad too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rather unusual. And I love people who are different, you know. When I say rather unusual, you know what I mean when you meet him, okay? We all love him here. Let's have a nice, warm reception for Sam Kinison, okay? Here we are, Sammy.
Hi, baby. Here you are, baby. I love you. I love you.
Well, like I said, I'm just trying to help. I'm trying to just do whatever I can for people. Like the World Hunger thing, the USA for Africa. Isn't that great? You guys hear the song? Nice song, isn't it? Beautiful. I'm like anybody else on the planet. I'm very moved by world hunger. I see the same commercials. Those little kids starving and very depressed. And, I watch these things on TV and I see those commercials and I look at it and I go, God, how cruel, you know? I see a little kid out there and I go, fuck, I know the film crew could give this kid a sandwich. The kid's not out there, filming a letter from home with a Betamax, huh? There's a director 5 feet away going, don't feed him yet! Get that sandwich out of here! It doesn't work unless he looks hungry! I'm not trying to make fun of world hunger. Matter of fact, I think I have the answer because I spend a lot of time working it out. And if you want to stop world hunger, stop sending them food. Don't send these people another bite, folks. You want to send them something? You want to help? Send them U-Hauls. Send them U-Hauls, some luggage, and send them a guy out there that goes, hey, we've been driving out here every day with your food for like the last, 30, 40 years. And we were driving out here a day across the desert, and it occurred to us there wouldn't be world hunger if you people would live where the food is! You live in a fucking You see this? Huh? See this? This is sand. Yeah. It's sand. You know it's going to be 100 years from now, huh? It's going to be sand! You live in a fucking desert! We'll make one trip. We'll take you to where the food is. We have deserts in America. We just don't live in them, asshole!
You know, like,
That's cool.
do they go, like, they're gonna go where the food is?
Yeah.
That's what made me think of that. Like, so the bass moving in a confusing way. You mentioned not having the shad fully figured out.
Yeah.
Do bass 100% move when the shad move?
Yeah.
Is that what they're eating? There's crawfish. There's bluegills.
Yeah.
There's probably some centipedes. There's little.
Yeah.
There's snakes. You got snakes down there.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
what's your theory on that? Is it the shad that leaves? Is it the current? Is it all current and shad or herring
Yeah.
driven? Like, it seems that way outside looking
Yeah.
in.
That's like a crazy, like, Pandora's box thing. I think it's different every single lake, I would think. Just kind of like off the dome. Because thinking of, like, the herring thing, I feel like those fish, like, immediately think of Hartwell. I feel like a lot of those fish are, like, so opportunistic to where it's just, like, they just hang out at the places where the shad, that is just, the herring's just going to go. Plus, it's just, like, again, now I'm getting into, like, some of these places that have just tons of shad. Like, the bass have to just know that. And then other places where there's not much shad, they also have to know that. So then I think it also plays into, like, primary forage, secondary forage. And again, obviously it's purely hypothetical, so who knows, we might be totally wrong on all this shit.
The good news is this isn't a published, scholarly paper, so you're good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess that's all of fishing is just hypotheticals.
Yeah,
Who
no, it's
knows
just
what.
on record
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no biggie. You can totally botch this.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's something that's like, I'd be really curious to see like a study, and maybe there is one, I just haven't done enough looking, of like primary forage, secondary forage, because like obviously like bluegills are like a huge part of like the bass world. I'd love to know how much they like actually eat them, especially like down south.
Down south, I'd be so curious. I'm curious everywhere. I want to know every
Yeah.
lake. How many do they eat?
I know, right?
I want to know.
Right?
How many crawfish?
Yeah.
How many that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so curious about, especially down south, because I think from the sounds of it, I feel like that bluegill pattern's an under, like
Yeah.
sneaky one, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
do bass, like, is there world hunger underwater? Like, is that like is Sarah McLachlan making a commercial? In the arms of a crawfish,
Showing
you know
the
what I
skinny
mean?
12 inches.
Yeah,
Just-
like we need to save them. Please help your local shad stalking program today. For every $1, we'll plant 3 brush piles on your behalf. For each brush pile, we'll put your initials on the brush pile. Please help today.
Somebody needs to make this
Yes,
ASAP.
the James River needs help. Or what's a good?
Yeah.
What's a shady lake?
Yeah.
Like, you know some shady lakes. What's the worst one?
I've never been to one. Oh,
We should make some ads
Yeah.
for that one.
oh gosh. We went to Vandalia, Illinois, our freshman year of college, and we zeroed. That was terrible. I think there's like 6 bass in the whole lake. I'm trying to think what else. I don't know.
Carlisle in Illinois, I heard, is that bad.
I think the whole state just apparently needs to be drained.
No, I think what we need to do, Nick, is we need to make a World Hunger public service announcement
the
for the
opposite.
state of Illinois and probably Indiana.
Yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
Ohio, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone that's from there is just like, it's terrible. So yeah, let's do
This is
it.
a
Yeah.
public service announcement to the blue collar belt of the United States,
Yeah.
everywhere from Illinois, Ohio, and Indiana. Especially Ohio, Indiana, and especially Illinois. And what's that lake called?
Vandalia.
We've got a code red on Vandalia right now. Fish are dying. There's deaths. There's mass atrocities going on, and there's really, the repercussions won't be seen for 20 to 30 years, but I guess, do you love your kids? Do you love your kids?
Yeah.
Do you? No? I didn't know there was that many narcissists in Illinois, Ohio, and Indiana, but this is a public service announcement to the entire United States. We've got a hunger crisis. These fish don't have enough food. Yeah, the habitat shit, we know that. These are absolute cesspools of lakes full of pollution. And, you know, this isn't about politics, but, Nick, what are some things that we can do to help these struggling states within this beautiful country we have of bass fishing?
If you could just donate $1 a day, that'd be, that'd make the world. To Venmo Sarah McLaughlin, maybe something along those lines. That would do it.
Yeah. So the other thing is, if you don't have a pot to piss in, and you need to spend that money on a couple extra 10-inch worms for your tournament on Gunnersville, and you'll need some gas money too, driving away from that godforsaken state of Illinois. Forget where I was going with that, but I think gobies, that's where I was going with that.
Yes,
so if
put
you
'em
don't
everywhere.
have $1, I know you have a number 5 hook that you could probably go into that Lake Erie up above you guys and catch a couple of gobies and feed a couple of bass, because my God, we've got an obesity problem.
Yeah.
North of that belt, we have an obesity problem. And, is it a taxation problem? Is there just an improper, redistribution of wealth in terms of food?
I don't know.
These are conservative this isn't a middle class issue. This isn't
This is an everybody issue.
This is everybody.
This is everybody.
All bass matter.
Yeah.
Pike don't matter.
No, they don't.
Roy was filleting one on the back of the pickup earlier tonight. You ever fillet a pike?
No, I don't plan on it. No.
I wouldn't think. What's the furthest southern pike you've caught? Have you caught a pike?
I've got pickerel.
Pickerels?
Yeah, they're
They
just
got
as
them
bad.
lake pickerels down there?
Yeah, those sons of bitches are just as bad.
Got
They're
teeths?
terrible. Oh my
Teeth,
gosh.
toothes?
Yeah.
Actually brought you a jerkbait. Thorne Brothers just got these in, and it's actually the most, I think if anyone will appreciate a jerkbait,
Hell yeah.
it's Nick Dumke. This is called the Matatachi Hanitas Minnow. And
What?
I haven't thrown it a bunch, but I gave it to a buddy up on Vermilion for practice, and he said he got him the shit out of him on it. So
I have not even seen this.
So this is a fixed lip, so it's got a fixed diving lip, and then it's got these wings on the side. And the wings are what make it adjust the diving depth.
No way.
Yeah, so you can make it go, shallow, mid, or deeper in one bait, and then you can make it go right, or left. Let's say you're paralleling a bluff wall or a seawall. You make it. So,
dude, that's sick.
So it's like the most tunable, customizable hard bait, and I'll have you, kind of look at some colors and stuff. But that one's yours, and I guess I wanted your thoughts on it. And I guess those hooks there, it's meant for saltwater or freshwater. But I mean, that I think is that new Gami hook you're telling me about, but I can't tell for sure.
So that Gami hook is a little bit more of it's almost like a...
More of a matte.
Yeah, yep.
Nano coating.
It's almost like a nano, but not quite. But yeah. But these are pretty wicked hooks. This thing is badass.
I mean, it's cool. I just haven't got to throw it a bunch, right? But, in my mind, that jerkbait has so many just awesome applications for scope, right? Because of, you have 3, well, technically, I guess you have 5 jerkbaits in one.
Yeah.
But, from a diving depth perspective, you got 3, you don't even need to change a hook.
That's sweet.
But it slow floats, so you would probably need to change a hook if you wanted it to not slow float.
And strip it a little, There's some messing to be done.
But yeah, if you guys want to try a new jerkbait, the Hanitas Minnow from Matatachi is in Thorne Brothers now. Nobody's thrown these in the U.S. yet, really.
Really?
Yeah, Thorne was the first, I think, dealer to carry these in the U.S.
Wow.
So, yeah, this
Holy cow.
came out this year from Japan.
Dang.
So, I don't know. That to me looked like kind of maybe be a good smallmouth color, but like, I don't know. Would that be any good down? They got more.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like the clear stuff.
What is your theory on, like, do you have any, like, for me, I try to not overthink it too much, but we're fishermen.
Yeah. I keep it pretty simple.
Introducing the chicken rod from Vocelka Fishing and Customs. This is the perfect rod for swim baits, chatterbaits, and big hair jigs like the chicken that's become so popular in Minnesota. This is a 7'6" heavy action rod with a moderate fast taper. The perfect action for landing those fish on a long cast, cover in water. Introducing the chicken rod, visit vocelkafishing.com.
On that front too, I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, in terms of like fishing around shad, it's like you just kind of can't overthink it too much. If it's just like normal watercolor, I'm like pro blue all the way. I just throw pro blue like all the time.
Good color.
Yeah, it's just so dang. I mean, there's really not many other ones that just like imitate like all kinds of shad too, like threadfin, just everything. Like it just covers the board, and it's almost like it's one of those things where there's something to it. It's just like you don't quite know what, and maybe it's a confidence thing that I have in it. But I'm just like when I'm down south, if I'm like on just like a full shad thing, it's like pro blue, and then like messing with throwing like a jerkbait and like dirtier stuff, then I'll like the pearl white, and then like the stains, those kind of colors where it's like the dirty-ish. Well, steamy out there, eh?
Sorry. No, you're good, bud. I don't know how you do it. Hey, I know you're warm right now, but would it be too much trouble to ask you for a favor? A 12-ounce ice cold favor? So it sounds like to me you've really honed in on what you feel is the most important aspects to a jerkbait, which in your mind, day in, day out, isn't color. And I know, like, when you and Easton were on telling me about that really big one you caught in Florida, just changing that color a little bit to a little pink and catching that really big one. So color can maybe make a difference, but in your mind, it's more so action, rise, suspend, fall. And cadence.
Yeah, that's the biggest things to me personally. And again, it's all totally like personal preference. And
so
I'm sure
you're
that
gonna take a pro. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all good. I'm sure that there's like dudes where it's like color is the deal, and they just have it crazy dialed to where it's like. And the other thing too is, I mean, like sun plays into it too. That's when I'll kind of start to think about things too, like. If it's cloudy days, kind of darker water, obviously, you kind of want that more like solid. That's when I'll go for like the pearl white, the stain, kind of, the stain shad colors.
So you kind of treat cloudy like stained.
Yeah. Yep. And then the bluebird skies, it's like the pro blue is just like kind of just what I always go with.
Yeah. That makes sense. Makes perfect sense, dude. And getting like intimately good with the lure, I don't think most people appreciate like the time that you spent to learn everything you've had, like you've learned with the jerkbait. And I guess it's probably something you just are very, I hope you're proud of that, because I guess there ain't nobody I've talked to that's broken that down like that. So be proud of that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Be proud of that. It's cool. So for you, it's more so you go to the lake for the day, you got a jerkbait, a pro blue one, and then your cloudy stained one, and you're basically just tuning your cadence, and then
yeah. And then I do think there's sometimes like to touch back on color, like I feel like there's like obviously every single lake you go to is different, and I feel like there's sometimes, how you just put something in the water and you're just like, oh, that looks good. I feel like there's something to that too, where it's like we just don't even understand that, where it's almost like just colors just look different in different lighting, and like, so I think there's times where color plays there to where it's like sometimes just stuff just pops. And I think that's part too of why like you hear like I feel like it's a lot too with like the older crowd. I feel like you don't hear this as much anymore. Guys that are like, it's got to be this color.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be this there.
It is so
You know?
funny you say that because I agree 100%.
And I think that's really all it is. I think it's just watercolor, and then like they just have their day where it just happens to look, you know, something just looks right, and it's just that's why it gets bit so much better than something else, you know.
I agree. I think that color matters more the more pressured or conditioned they are, or the longer they get to look at it.
Yep.
Like, if you're throwing a whopper plopper down a bluff bank, you might as well spray paint the fucker black. And
Yeah.
like, Arkansas boys the Vexus boys taught me that when I was in Arkansas. I'm like, I don't know, I like a bone color one or black. That's what I throw. They're like, they ain't seen it anyway. It looks like a big gizzard shad to them. I'm like, thing looks like a damn like Russian torpedo, but okay, right? So I think that's where I feel like it seems like on like a finesse jig. Maybe not, because there's plenty of people who tell me they fucking just whoop them on one color finesse jig, right? A brown one.
Yeah.
But bluegill fishing, Minnesota finesse jig, I've definitely seen that make a difference, or I feel like it does, but not down to like the color flake maybe, but more so the tone, the overall hue, the, you know, it's like if there's a suspect, right, and our job is to identify that suspect. It's got to look kind of like the killer, but it doesn't need to like have the freaking like dimple on the left cheek.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, that was one of the big things that like at first going down there, I was like way too in like trying to just be like perfect with stuff and be like, gotta make it look like, you know, this and this. And I think there's definitely a time and place for that. And I think there's guys that have that dialed, and it definitely gives them, you know, an advantage. But that was one thing for me, was just like simplifying. It was just like, it just made a world of difference. To me, the only things that matter is if, and this goes across like minnows, like everything, I feel like. Well, I shouldn't say everything.
I agree.
But in the world of like shad baits, jerk baits, minnows, it's like translucent, and then like you said, like the tone. Like, is it clear or see-through, or, you know, is it clear, kind of see-through, or solid, and then like tones. That's like all that like I don't buy into the fleck thing, and I think there's, you know, like I said, there's times and places obviously, but it's something that just can't read too far into, I think.
I would agree. I don't have rules on fleck. I don't have but like if you're gonna ask me which fleck, if it's sunny, I'm probably gonna pick blue more, and if it's cloudy, I'm probably gonna lean toward like a purple.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell you why.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you have to do that, or else you're not going to catch them.
I'm the same.
You could probably do it the other way around and maybe whoop my ass. And I wouldn't tell you won't.
Yeah, I like purple flake stuff, and I don't know why. Like,
I
really don't
flakes
buy
too.
into it. Like, it probably doesn't make a difference, but I'm the same way. Like, for some reason, I'm like, yeah.
I like the purple and the copper sparkles. At the same time. Or else they just don't eat it. They just don't understand. They just don't get it.
They just don't even look
I took
at
the
it.
copper sparkles out of it, and they just stopped even touching it. Just ignored it. Chopped liver. We're such fags. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we've all thought, like I've said something like that before.
No, fishing people are.
I've experienced something like that before. Like I took the copper flakes out, and they just. It's like they need to have carrots in their stew. Like it just, you know, like
Yeah.
I've probably said that dumb shit before,
Oh, yeah. I'm guilty 100 times, yeah.
but not on the record. Nobody
Yeah.
heard. Yeah. Play that back. It's probably like 8 clips of me. I bet there's a dozen clips of me saying no. Typically not. I try not to admit my gay stuff. You know, I bury that shit deep in the closet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to be that way.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to talk about flakes.
Yeah.
What are you, some kind of queer?
Let me guess, you use live scope all the time too, huh?
It's legal,
Yeah.
but it's frowned upon. Okay, just because you can do it just doesn't mean you should. Here's the deal, man. If you want to be gay, I support it. So
Yeah.
just for anybody who's pissed about what I just said, I wish there was more gays. Okay, for all you pissed off folks at what I just said, I wish there was more. So how are you gonna be pissed about that?
Hey,
Right? I think we just. Actually, I don't even think any. I've never even got any hate for any of that. So I don't even know why I'm apologizing, Nick.
just
Why am
in
I?
case.
Who am I apologizing to?
You're just too nice of a guy.
I just said fag and queer in the same 4 things, and you just
Okay,
said you're
well.
too nice of a guy. What other words can I use to prove you otherwise?
Okay, touche. Yeah,
No, this is fun, dude.
yeah, this is great.
I have to bring something up,
Yeah,
and I don't know how to bring it up because I want it, like, I don't want it to sound bad,
no, it's okay.
but I feel like I'm just more curious to, like, I know you're not even going to tell me the truth when I ask this. He's not even going to, you're going to lie to me because you're too good of a dude. But, like, your best friend just won the classic. Your best friend has literally outshined every angler on planet Earth. And it's like, probably feels like people don't even know who Nick Dumke is. Or it probably feels like you're stuck in, like, a shadow of that, if you will. And I guess, like, I totally understand that feeling. And I guess I've never talked to you about it, but I've certainly thought about it, and I've certainly thought about what that feels like. But yet, like, we all know the truth, but, like, a lot of people don't. But, like, how does that feel?
I mean, to me, and this is totally the truth. Like, I'm a totally honest guy. I'm up in front about things. Like, it really, I mean, it does not bug me at all. Like, really. I mean, like, it was one of the coolest things, and I don't want to sound like a dad, like, living through his son's shoes, but it was, like, one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. To see it come full circle, and again, like you said, like, he's a brother of mine. Like, I got a few guys in my life I can call, like, a brother, and he's one of them. And to see, like, to go full circle, I can think back to when we signed our contracts at Montevallo, and we were talking about, oh, that was actually before this. We were talking about going to Montevallo together. And I remember having conversations. We were literally snapping each other, talking about, like, should we do this? And we were kind of, like, hyping each other up. And we were like, yeah, like, I think we can be okay at college fishing. I think we can do good in a couple tournaments here and there. And, like, and to see it, like, go from, like, high school, and, like, I'm sure we had conversations about, like, yeah, you know, I think we'd fish well together. And then, like, to be like, yeah, I think we can do good in a couple tournaments in college. And now to see him win the Super Bowl of bass fishing, like, again, I don't want to sound like I'm, like, you know, a guy, like, a dad riding his kid, you know.
You sound like a good friend, so you don't ever need to apologize for that, all right?
But yeah, that was, like, one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. And I mean, I don't feel that in any way, and I don't know, it's something that I guess to be honest, I don't really think about it too much. I mean, it's like, it's never really crossed my mind, and I feel like,
Well, neither of you are attention-seeking type people in my mind, right? Which to me is some, like, those are things I really like about you guys. You're not look at me type of people, but in terms of, like, hard work and getting credit for it, that's all.
and I mean, even then,
Because I know
it's
you
like,
both put in a ton of hard work, and I feel like by no fault of anybody's, I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, for me, it's, I just think about Dane and I, right? And, like, we fish together as a team, but, like, when we fished the Champions Tour, like, we were like, nobody drove me to catch him better than Dane.
Yeah.
Because, like, I want to beat my tournament part. It was like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
no, 100%.
like, the other thing is like, I, like, started bass fishing before Dane. So, like, I don't know how I would feel if he all of a sudden was the best fisherman in the world. And he started, like, 7 years before me, or after me. But the point is like, Dane is as good as me, and he started later than me, right? And I'm so happy for him. And I'm so happy when he succeeds. And that's because, like, I think our friendship is real, and we're not sleazeballs.
Yeah.
Just like you and Easton, right? But, like, from a friendly standpoint, I still, like, want to beat Dane if we're fishing against each other, just like you'd want to beat Easton. But I feel like he won that bracket, and you didn't.
Yeah.
That's the only, like, it's the main difference, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a lot more to it there too, but yeah, obviously,
Well, feel free to elaborate.
Obviously he carried it a lot more than just the bracket. But I mean, like, and yeah, I mean, I feel like it's almost like, and maybe I'm getting kind of like all like hippie here, but it's almost like, it's like just part, you know, everyone has their own journey kind of thing, and it's like I don't really feel any kind of like at all. I mean, I don't feel at all any kind of like. Man, I mean, obviously I wish I was in his shoes, but it's like, you know, there's no like, I mean, who wouldn't in that regard? I mean it like that, but I'm not like, you know, I'm not bitter about it in any way or anything. And like, again, it's all part of the journey. It's just like, and like you said, the credit of things, it's like, I don't know, I guess that's something that's never even crossed my mind really. It's just like, again, it was just kind of like part of our journeys, and it's just like, I don't even know how to explain it, really.
Did it fuel your I think the main thing I'm getting at is, I remember the last time you, me, and Easton recorded a podcast. This was before you guys, you know, won Team of the Year, before Easton won the bracket.
That's
before
crazy. That
all
was
of
that long
that,
ago.
right?
Yeah.
And I remember asking, you know, what's your plans after college?
Mm-hmm.
And Easton was more all in on the fishing.
Yeah.
And you were a little like, not sure about the pro fishing, and like thinking about more the like business side, and then maybe. So I guess my question is Easton kind of, and seeing that success, did that help you? I guess, did that change that course of like the future versus like what we talked about that podcast? Like, did that help fuel like a different, like, career driving fire for you?
I mean, somewhat, yeah. I definitely, like, I mean, being to classics and seeing someone hold the trophy, it's obviously, it's like, I want to do that someday.
Yeah.
And then seeing him do it was definitely like, hell yeah, I need to do that someday. Not like I want to do that someday. It's like, I need to do that someday kind of a thing.
Well, it's you fished next to him, with him.
Yeah.
Like, in each other's heads. So, like, seeing that he can do it, you can do it too. You know what I mean? You can be there. It probably, hopefully, helped you understand shit. Like, I got this. Like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, because that, I think, is, I got the vibe from both of you, right? Back then, and I've always been this way, like, not sure if you got it or not, right?
Yeah.
And Easton was not, like, he had it, and we knew he got it, but I don't think he knew he got it like he knows he got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he did not.
100%.
Like, listen back, and I really think, like, I feel like that had to have helped you. Like, it would help me so much. Like, if somebody I've fished next to, and like, you know, when you fish with somebody, like, kind of can gauge, you know, abilities and all of that. And when that person wins the classic, wins the bracket, like, starts winning $250,000 in the opens, like, breaking every, like, what does that, your head before he fished, like, just the confidence that should give you as an angler and what you've put together, and what, like, you two have fed off each other. There was no, like, selfishness or, like, one guy is back hurting in that team ordeal. So you not being able to test yourself at that level and seeing your best friend and tournament partner test himself at that level and be the best freaking one.
Yeah.
That would do some shit for my head. Like, if I could get over the jealousy, you know, if you can get past jealousy and that sort of thing, that should fuel a fire of positivity.
Yeah. And it almost fueled the fire in a way, like, for me, really, it wasn't as much that. It was more like, and again, it's just because I'm just, like, competitive like he is, where I just, like, can't stand losing. It was like getting my ass whooped. It just drove me nuts. And that was, like, a huge thing for me, like, the past couple years. And I would say it's, like, a mix of that. Kind of where I think it was unconsciously kind of like what you're talking about, to where it's like, okay, you know, you got it if you just, you know, work hard and push for it, kind of a thing. But also, like, the bracket, like, I got last place in the bracket.
Did you?
Yeah, last place. And that just, like, that kept me up at night. That was one of those things. It just ate at me. And, like, every single time I don't do good, it just eats at me. But in, like,
Me too.
yeah, I just can't. I mean,
I hate
anyone who bass fishes probably says the same thing, you know.
Maybe.
It's, yeah.
It's
tournament
different
fishes, I
based
should say,
on.
but-
I feel like I take it harder than the people I fish against. For some reason, I feel like I'm taking it more
Really?
personal. Yeah, I feel like I care too much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get that. Yeah. It's hard not to, especially when you put a lot of money on the
That's just
line,
it,
and it's
like-
time, money, it's
fuck else am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I care.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that was a big thing for me too, is like finding the middle ground, and I'm not there yet, and I don't think, you know, obviously that's the cool thing about this sport, is you're never just there. There's never like a peak, you know? You're always growing mentally, and then your game itself, like, obviously that's all that this sport is your mental game and then your actual game, but like
right.
that was a huge thing for me, was like when I can, like, thinking back to like my freshman year when we do bad, it was like end of the world. Like, it was like just, it drove me up a wall, and it still does, but it drives me up a wall now in like a good way. I kind of like found like the happy medium for myself, to where it's like damn, this sucks, but like I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's something that
I can relate with. It's like, God, this sucks, but I'm better for it.
yeah, 100, yep, exactly, yep.
Which
Like, you needed
ain't
that,
saying that
yeah.
even, but
Yeah.
But then it's like, I don't know, it's been happening to me more than I'm used to the last couple of years. So like, I don't know, man. I got more questions than answers. It's a weird voodoo, this sport, that way, because that middle ground you're talking about, this elusive middle ground,
Yeah.
it's unexplainable middle ground, because you have forcing it and absolutely like not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
And I don't do well. I don't know. Maybe I just can't get myself. Maybe this is the answer. Like, complete not give a fuck. But you found the best as a middle ground?
Yeah, for me, I'm trying to think of the right way to put it. Like, letting it, like, when you just have just a bummer derb, it's like letting it bug you, but not letting it be like everything, you know? Kind of to where it's like, it's fuel to the fire, but it doesn't make it an out of control fire, if that's a way to put it.
That reminds me of what Dane would tell me, probably right before my fire was, maybe out of control. I'm not, look at me. Like, we ain't getting too crazy here, right? But
Don't discredit yourself, but yeah.
I'm a spider monkey. Like, don't fuck with me. But he, like, when I would just be down in the dumps, right? And I've told people this since then because it made me feel a lot better. It was like a bad tournament does not define you as an angler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's like that day, 1 day, 2 day, whatever, 3 days on the water. If you let that define you as an angler, you shouldn't be an angler.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Because this is the wrong sport to be
Yeah.
defining yourself off 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just the way it is. It's
It
the
is
most
the-
losingest sport of them all. I mean,
I remember a stat like Kevin Van Dam wins less than 1% of the time, and he was like the most winningest angler. Well, maybe Wheeler broke that. I don't even know.
yeah.
But you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
Like, it's fucking NASCAR.
It's wild.
Only one person wins. Everybody loses. So if you're not okay with losing, probably shouldn't be driving NASCARs.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
I remember the cool thing. I really enjoyed like you and Easton breaking down like jerkbait noise.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's something that I never really thought of, and that's something people brought up to me actually after that.
Really?
Yeah, that's like been, yeah, you guys kind of really, I've never really heard people talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I guess that's one thing I forgot to talk about earlier too. But,
I mean,
yeah.
dude, I know you're intimate with this jerkbait deal, so like I said, you could talk about it probably for 6 hours. Bass University, call this man, pay this man. He's ready. That's all I'm saying. So I wouldn't expect you to remember everything about a jerkbait. But I remember your lesson from a jerkbait. I remember his Bass University seminar that he didn't get paid for and should have. And it was, the re-range was the loudest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which
Definitely
still
up there.
doesn't make sense to me because it's just one magnet.
Yeah.
And I feel like that thing makes a really loud noise when I cast it and then I never hear it again.
Yeah.
So, like, is it doing that down there? That shotgun blast we hear above the water, is that what it's doing down there? How is the re-range making noise?
To be honest, I have zero clue.
It's
But
fucking annoying. Though.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's definitely a very like time and like very niche thing. Like it's almost too loud for most instances, but I think there's definitely times and places. Like big schools of fish, I feel like is where it plays the best.
Makes sense.
Which again is very niche to when you want to be throwing one, but yeah. That's I haven't like I don't know how it makes that noise, but I just know from like times where it's been like I've been on like a dead quiet lake and then you like kind of run it to depth next to the boat and you like work it, like normal, and you can hear it like crack like it does it. I don't know how, but
And then you do the wire to fish thing, so you probably gone underwater and heard stuff like that too. And then the shadow wrap was the quietest.
mm-hmm.
They don't make that no more.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like an OG Wigglewort now.
Yeah.
Or if you got it, it's the quietest.
Yeah.
Maybe you can still buy them.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Buy what's left.
Yeah.
Won't be so long. But so then you've got the 110, which was at the somewhere in between. Kinda happy
yeah,
medium.
Yeah, that's kind of yeah, exactly.
And now you've got the Maverick, the Stunna, the 6 Sense Provoke.
Yeah.
You've got the Matatachi Hanitas Minnow. I'll be curious where this lands on your sound spectrum, by the way.
I'm excited to throw that.
Oh,
Very
well,
excited.
I'll have you look at the couple other colors I got, too.
Sweet.
Before
I
we leave.
appreciate it.
Dude,
That thing's
appreciate
so
you, man.
badass.
Appreciate you making the trip out of here.
Yeah.
Like, means a lot.
Yeah.
I guess we don't need to get into all the jerk baits you throw, unless you want to. I'm not really here to get in the weeds. I just love hearing how you think about jerk baits.
Yeah.
But I guess in terms of sound, do you have like this Pro Blue one for loud, this Pro Blue one for medium, this Pro Blue one for fucking quiet?
Not quite that crazy. Most of it, I mean, just comes down to even just taking them, shaking them in your hand, grabbing the treble, shaking them in your hand, just kind of being like, and a lot of times you can just kind of get the feel of it, I feel like, to where it's like, you just get that instinct where you do something and that's like, I feel like you kind of get that with the jerkbait kind of thing, where it's just like you shake it and you're just like, that's just not right now. Like, I'm not going to throw a rearrange like in crystal clear water for like, sluggish fish kind of a thing.
Yeah, wind's 3.5 miles.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe that's, I don't know. Go ahead. Carry on.
But I mean, I don't get too crazy into it. I kind of just kind of keep it simple of just trying to throw the quieter stuff. Yeah, like when you said, like when slick calm, pressured fish, finicky fish, then I feel like the quieter stuff starts to play, the silent stuff. And then again, that like medium noise, that's when it's like really kind of just everything, you know, there's always a time and place. And then, yeah, the really loud ones, I feel like that's when it really plays. When you get the groups of fish, I think it just gets everyone's attention. And then when everyone's attention gets involved, it's like just go time. Cause it's like,
Yeah.
well, he's looking at it and he's going after it. And then it just turns into, you know,
That makes sense. So the more active they are, the more loud you get.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's what we talked about. I've got a question on the minnow thing because I feel like I've got a southern boy. You're basically a southern boy to me now, for what it's worth. And to them, you're a damn Yankee. But Easton's taught me a lot about just like shaking a minnow in terms of like, depending what minnow you have, you gotta shake it different potentially. And like, you know, sometimes I've seen you don't shake it at all. And there's like, it's kind of like the jerkbait thing, right? Where some minnows are like a dang 110 and you don't even need, you shake a slack and it's,
yeah.
and then some minnows are like an old husky jerk where you need to freaking jerk off a freaking chipmunk to get it to go. Or well, maybe a horse, depending on how long his strokes they're wanting. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What have you learned about some of that? And I guess I'd be curious to dig into your head because I feel like those types of details matter when you need to be doing that more than ever.
Yeah.
Where you're doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's totally changed now. And it's another Pandora's box where there's a million things. It's almost worse than the jerkbait world now, where there's
Really?
100%. I mean, I feel like just like off the top of my head naming minnows, it's like Raid, Freeloader, Sakamata, like Six Sense has their I mean, there's just millions of them
Market's
out there now.
very flooded with them.
So many different ones, and they all do different things in some tiny way. Whether you like a lot of it, you know, like if you put some minnows besides the boat, you know, a lot of them look the same, but they all do their own very certain smaller things.
Yeah.
And I think it really just depends on salt, plastic type, and then the weight of your head. Obviously, that's massive.
And shape, I think.
Yeah,
obviously, the
100%.
hydrodynamics.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to get back to this, but like, is there a hydro engineering degree at Montevallo? When we were talking about
No,
the dam
there should
thing.
be.
Yeah, like Coach Crawford, I need you to talk to the administrative department about starting like a hydro engineering like aspect to your college so that your freaking fishing team can have some Lockmaster interns on speed dial. You know what I mean? So,
That
like,
would be the play.
what like
Oh my god.
what I'm saying is I don't know this Dylan Nut guy, but I bet he knows a hydro engineer or two from the sounds of it. And that's not against the rules, Dylan Nut. That's just smart.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, Scott Martin could have learned a thing or two from him. Scott's a
Dang.
big fan of this channel. I hope he's not too upset. Scott watches every episode. Scott, I hope you're not too mad. I'm just kidding. He's never even heard of me. But back to what we were talking about. That was a thought I had earlier. And like hydro engineering or industrial engineering. That needs to like be a complementary major at high school or college fishing schools.
Yeah.
If you're smart. Anyway, but we were talking about
Minnows, what they do.
minnows, what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's something where it's just like you just have to it sucks, but you just have to like buy them and play with them and just see what they do. And some it's just like, well, this just isn't gonna catch them. And then other times it's like, this thing is not gonna catch them, and it catches them.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It is weird.
And I think that's part of where they just haven't seen. I think the biggest part to that is them just not seeing it yet. I think it's just something that's just different. A small example of that was last fall or last winter on the Coosa. I'm not going to name the specific minnow, but it's a very cheap minnow and it's very accessible. It's not Japanese at all. It's made in America. And that was the minnow to throw on the Coosa for us last winter. And we threw socks. We threw all kinds of different stuff. Tried different colors, sizes. this cheap $2.99 minnow was it was the best thing you could bet on. We could catch everyone we threw out with it. So it didn't do anything. So I think there's just times and places where it's sometimes things that are different are the play. And then I think there's things that we don't realize too that they want. Like, I think the do nothing of that minnow with it being so cold was what made it so good.
Well, look at Japan, dude.
Yeah.
Like, those fish don't bite. Like, those fish suck.
Yeah.
Like, I've talked to them guys, and like, bro. Like, my God. That sounds like, but yet, those shapes, they'll come out with them, like the cover scat, for example. Or like, that do nothing stuff. And because everybody's trying to scope them bass, getting all them sakamatas. Oh, man.
Yeah.
If everybody's buying all the sakamatas and throwing all the sakamatas,
Yeah.
what do you think all the bass are seeing?
Sakamata.
They no way they're seeing a sakamata, Nick Dumke.
Right? Yeah.
No. Here's what I'll tell you for sure. A bass, there's no way they've ever seen a sakamata shad.
Never.
I'm Al Linder, and I approve this message. Yeah, they've seen a sakamata shad. And at some point, Nick Dumke, I'm punching you in the face. Sakamata.
Yeah.
I'm sakamataing you in the face 20 times, and it doesn't feel very good.
Yeah. I'm going to dodge it even.
Unless I can cuss you enough to forget that you just got hit in the head with 20 sakamatas, you're probably not going to eat another one.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
You're probably going to go to the nearest 2x4 and start gnawing. You know what I mean? This wood looks safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is super interesting. Well, you think about crankbaits too. Like, flat side crankbait was only a summer crankbait. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Guess what? Everybody throws a big square bill down south. So guess what? That guy sneaks a little flat side through there after it got square billed to death. That's the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some more. You're throwing a flat sided shaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. That balsa, baby. That young balsa mid strolling.
But yeah, it's crazy what that world's turned into, and who knows where all that's gonna stop. It's so cool to see the innovation side of things, but it's also kind of a double-edged sword of where is this gonna stop? Is it gonna stop? I don't know. It's interesting.
It's one of those things where it like, I've gone deeper and had major success with it, but I've gone less deep and had major success with it, right? So it's just, to me, when you're on the pressured fisheries you're on, it seems like the details matter more. Mm-hmm. Whether it be less action, more action, faster, slower.
Yep.
Slow float.
Yeah.
Fast float.
Yep.
Slow sink.
And then to play the devil's advocate, kind of like we were talking about earlier, now it's becoming where the other things are starting to pick back up, and now it's like, there have been times where I was guilty of it in practice at Gunnersville, where I was like rolling through different minnows, like trying to make it work, because it's like, they're ledge fish that, like, this has to work.
This is what they eat.
Yeah. And it's like trying to make, and I've done it a million times at other tournaments. I'm sure everyone can attest to it, where they've just tried to make it work, because it's like, it's a minnow. They got to eat it. And that was super eye-opening to just to pick up a big 10-inch worm and catch one, like, my second cast with it. And then I'm like,
baby.
Okay, I guess it's time to go old school. And then to finally, have it go like that, it was super cool. But yeah, it was incredibly eye-opening to how conditioned they can get, and how, it's wild.
What's so in my mind, I think the most slept on, like, technique in my mind is that gravity bait technique, like a cover scat, or like that weighted soft plastic. In your mind, what is the most underutilized or sleepy, like, technique that is super effective that you feel like people maybe pick up and set down too quick? I mean, I know besides a jerkbait,
Yeah.
but everyone, like, people down south, it's cooler to do down south year round.
Gosh, I'm trying to think. I mean, really a crankbait. which is kind of crazy. I feel like, speaking down south, I feel like that's something that is kind of getting left behind. And we got to see it like kind of come back at Fork, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like a jig, a square bill. Like, it's always going to have a place, but it's kind of getting left behind. And obviously, like, everyone has them. But, like, I think back to, like, I feel like for whatever reason, maybe it was just the way that the schedule aligned or something, but like our freshman and sophomore years down there, I feel like we used it played a lot, messing with like DT6s, flat sides, DT20s. Like there was always, I feel like we were just using a crank a lot. And I feel like it's kind of getting left behind, like that whole art of things, and like a DT6 and stuff. And like thinking back when we got there, it was like, wintertime came on the Coosa, you need to be cranking, you need to be throwing a jig, you need to be throwing a spinnerbait on the bluff when the water gets moving. And now, if you go to Jordan and you're in a 50 boat tournament, I guarantee you that 47 of them are in the middle scoping, and no one's cranking anymore, no one's flipping. Like, there's definitely like time, obviously that's not always the case, but the majority of the time I feel like that's something that just kind of is getting like overlooked.
I agree. You're talking dirty to me right now. I hope that continues to get better. I love throwing a crankbait. And haven't always, but I love throwing it.
Yeah. It just catches fish. It's one of those things, like I said, it's like the jig. It's just never gonna not be good or have its time and place where it's gonna be good.
Totally, dude. I just feel like efficient when they're eating that thing. It's like Daddy's moving around.
Yeah.
Daddy's covering some water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Daddy's efficient.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're freaking do this quicker than me today. Like when they're on the crank.
Yeah.
There's no way to catch them quicker than that.
Yeah, 100%.
In my mind.
Mm-hmm. And it's such a good reactionary thing to just like it's tough. It's harder to find anything else. I know there's things out there, but like that is one of the best ways when you have like a school of fish to just get things rolling and just know what's there. And I mean, a lot of times your biggest one in the school is going to be one of the first ones to grab it. It seems like too. So,
you want to know my latest just crack addiction?
Yeah. Uh-oh. On hand. Oh, I've been seeing your posts. So these things are.
I don't know. So for me, I guess I won't preach from the standpoint of me being a glide bait fisherman or a person who knows much about them, to be honest with you. But Galapagos, I'm friends with Noah Schultz. Mm-hmm. And Thorne got some in, and I'm like, yo, have you thrown these yet? And so he had a 280, and he caught a 6-pounder in his first 10 casts or whatever, and like, Noah is like the biggest glide bait snob that I know, and he would say that there's 2 other guys, but basically he's only thrown 3 glide baits now. This one, the one bigger than this, and a Hinkle.
No kidding.
This one and the other one have replaced kind of every other one he's thrown, and I guess I was just like, how, why, asking him questions, and now I've been throwing it for like 2 months, and finally I get it now, because I was throwing a Chad last year, and I was like getting it and cool, and then like you throw this, and I just want to throw my Chads in the garbage after throwing this. Like,
really?
Yeah. So it's a triple joint, which is what threw me off at first.
I was just gonna say that exact thing. When I saw your posts of it, I was like, interesting, and then I saw your pool clips, and I was like,
okay?
Yeah, that's great.
I was like, man, somebody could probably make these look way better, but
no, I was like, holy, that's wild. I never thought it would work like that.
So that's kind of what's cool about it, is think of this as like a jerkbait blank canvas, right?
Yep.
So a triple joint, think of that herring swim. You can work it really fast as out of the box, or pretty slow. It's just more loose, right? They make these bumpers or stops that you can add each joint.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can completely change the action of this bait.
Really?
Wide and slow. You can make it wide fast. You can have it so that it goes wide when you're searching, but then you have one coming up, you can chop, 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 turn it around on it, like
Damn.
But the big thing with this bait for me is I'm not a good glide bait fisherman, so like I need one that I'm not gonna fuck up, right? Especially when I can't see it with my eyes, because it seems like this is what I've learned throwing these things is like if I can see it, I'm gonna make that thing look so dang good if I can see it with my eyes. But as soon as like I'm scoping with it, can't see it
it's hard.
anymore.
Yeah.
You have to really know that bait. You have to really know that
Yeah,
bait and be
100%.
intimate with it. And that's what makes like these glide bait guys, you know, special, and what makes them really good at that technique, which is maybe, you know, proven not to be a AOI, you know, winner. But what I was surprised by how many bites I got with this. It catches so many. I've caught so many 2-pounders on this.
That's so wild.
And Noah smoked. We fished a swim bait only tournament, and Noah smoked me. And I probably caught 25 that day. He said he caught 50 or 60 bass on this in Minnesota.
Gosh.
Smallies, largies. He had 4th place, lost
my
by 3/4 of a
gosh.
pound.
That's crazy.
And then they make a hard and a soft tail, so you can change that tail out. too.
Really?
Yep. So the soft tail, obviously, more speed. The hard tail, obviously.
Yeah, chop.
The hard tail really makes it. You can't work it as fast with the hard tail. It's basically what it boils down to. But yeah, and then you can wrap lead wire, make it sink.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I guess what I was gonna ask you is, I'm in Minnesota, which is like, there's probably 40 states you'd probably pick a glide bait up before Minnesota.
Yeah.
But is that something you guys rotate in down like by where you're at?
Mhm.
Because obviously,
Yeah.
big gizzards and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely became a huge part of my rotation. Being
Gotcha.
down there, it's definitely come into it more and more. It's something I wish I could I wish financially I could just go all in on it, because it's like you said, it's such a super niche, cool, obviously crazy efficient thing when you're dialed with it. But like you said, you got to be all in on it, I feel like. But there's such potential for that thing, and I mean, we've had it where it's totally saved us. Like Toho, for example, the day that we had 27 in that national championship, 2 of our fish came on a glide. Yeah.
That's so
Or-
cool.
No, it might even been 3. 2 or 3 of our fish came on a glide.
Bro,
Yeah.
a Florida glide. Oh, dude,
Dude.
I freaking lose my mind when I
It
get
was
a bite.
insane. Yeah. And
Dude, I
there's
love getting bit on that thing.
yeah. It's something about glide bite.
This-
It's dangerous.
I can't describe. I don't know if it's because I think it's gonna be a big one every time, or if it's just I think it's just the element of surprise with it, kind of.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
or they follow the shit out of it all
Plus
the
it's
time.
just a giant minnow that you just control. It's just so cool. Yeah. Yeah. Here's a question. What do you find for this style glide? What's your setup? What do you feel is
So Dane makes custom rods, so I'm very fortunate with that. I'm working on having him build me one for the bigger one, but he makes a swim bait rod that I was using for basically mag draft freestyle,
yeah.
and then gills heavier swim bait hook, and it launches. I guess when they eat the thing, I haven't lost many on it.
Yeah.
So but we're learning that swim bait thing. That's kind of Dane and I's project now. I think we found a good rod for this one. It's just finding the right one for that next one. But I have a lot to learn on that front.
Yeah.
But
There's so much to it. It's so cool.
Well, I think it's the best practice tool.
Yeah.
I'll never practice without one. I don't think, after what I've seen. It'll show you every bass in the lake.
Oh yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
maybe we should cut that.
Yeah.
But I guess it's fun catching them on it. But
Yeah,
if you're trying to not catch them on it, it's really good for that too.
That was what I was doing at Gunnersville. I had the biggest one I owned tied on, and I just throw it over to the school just to see what was there and kind of see the size of them. And that's a thing. That is, yeah.
You'd like the bigger one of this because
Really?
what I've heard about the bigger ones is you hear about that guy who goes to Florida, throws it down the middle of a canal, and all of a sudden you fish the canal, you wouldn't think there's
Yeah.
a fucking 10-pounder swimming in it, and all of a sudden you throw a glide down the thing and 30 of them come out and look at it.
Yeah.
There's something to that.
Huh.
You're a fucking camel, you know that? I have to pee again. You're a damn camel, Nick Dumke.
I guess. I don't know what my deal is.
What's your kind of go-to glide bait then? And what's the cool glide down in the what's the college kid glide?
So, for me, the Scottsboro ones.
Yeah.
Those are really damn good for the money. Because
Yeah.
the one that they make is $100, and then one that I just got here a couple months ago that I absolutely love is their new 5.5.
Yep.
That thing is sweet. And I actually weighed, I think one of my fish in the Toyota. I called one of them out.
Oh,
I had my biggest one on day 2 was on that exact glide.
Heck
on
yeah.
G-Veil. But that thing is really good. That's kind of one that I need to dabble in the big glides, but again, it's gonna hurt the wallet so much. I'm scared to get into it. But well, how much are these?
That's what
They're
I
not
like
much,
about
right?
this one. That's what I like about this one, dude. And it's like that's the thing that's so intimidating about glide bait fishing, right? Is like I don't have the wallet for
Yeah.
it. But like when I learned about this one, it's like you got 5 glide baits and 1 glide bait,
So it's
$89.99.
No kidding.
$100. You
Dang.
probably don't need, like, if you're just getting into it,
Yeah.
I'd start with one that does
Yeah.
5 different.
Everything.
It's going to cover you in really cold water. It's going to be your warm water, burn, stop, whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess what I like about this one is A, it's easy to work, and B, it takes kind of that intimidation that I need 8 more glide baits out of the
Yeah.
equation. But
Yeah.
I would love for you to throw that thing and tell me like what you learned with it.
100% go buy one.
It seems like so I'd love to fish it without the joints more. It just seems like you have to be just better at working these. And for me, the bumper in the back joint and no bumper in the front is like really good at doing wide and like short fast. And then bumper here and here is like you don't need to scope with it. You can pretty much not fuck it up and kind of cover a bunch of water with it. But
Yeah.
but I don't know, I've done a bunch of shit with it. It looks good kind of no matter how I do it, and it's just I'm curious, yeah, what you being that you kind of are the jerk baiter you are. I feel like that the glide bait's probably the closest thing to a jerkbait in terms of like
Yeah.
how you were talking about tuning things.
Yeah.
I feel like you have like
It's a world I'm dying to get into. I just have not had, I haven't gotten myself to get into it yet. But yeah, I will definitely start getting into them. I will be buying one of those, and I'll keep you updated.
we'll figure it out. That's cool though. What's the future look like for Nick Dumke?
So right now I'm working at Wired to Fish. I'm actually full time as of 2 weeks ago. I was an intern there forever, but so yeah, now I'm full time.
Congratulations.
So thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be fun. Just be doing that, full time, and then trying to fish as many tournaments as I can get into, and we'll see from there.
So that full-time gig, I know, like, you were living in Alabama. You graduated now. So are you going to be living in Minnesota full-time then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll crash at the parents' place for a little bit. Just
Rightfully so.
Yeah, get some money and sit on that for a while, and then once I don't know what the full plan will be coming way down the line, but as of right now, I want to stick with Wired as long as I can, and just fish as much as possible, and we'll see.
What's your fishing goals look like, or like what's kind of like your? Obviously, I kind of know them.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. That's kind of like where I'm just kind of letting the cards go where they are. I'm trying to just like fish as much as possible and not trying to like rush into anything, especially obviously the world of fishing isn't in a bad spot, but it's in a weird spot. So it's a little bit intimidating to, obviously to just go throw 50 grand into the opens, just kind of not knowing where things are at and everything there. But that's the goal at some point, you know, is obviously, I mean,
How do you do that? Like,
Yeah,
you
it's-
know what I mean? How, like, Easton obviously had the perfect program, right? Mm-hmm. You don't pay 50 grand for the interviews, right? That's ideal, but only one person doesn't get to do that.
Yeah.
Well, there's probably some kids that don't get to. There's probably some kids that don't have to do that. But
yeah. And yeah, I mean, that's a lot of the equation too. There's just some guys that, are pretty fortunate where it just works out in their favor that they had a rich dead uncle or something. But, you know, obviously not everyone's like that. And that's kind of, I guess, the cool side of things is everyone's got their different paths and stuff. And that's just kind of how I'm rolling with it. It's just like everyone's got their path. And I'm just kind of letting the cards fall where they may. And
that always bothered me. But then it's like, can't really be mad at somebody for being born.
yeah, right?
You know, like, shit.
Yeah.
God damn.
And I mean, good for
Okay.
them. I mean, like, it's obviously easy to, like, I shouldn't say easy, but naturally when you see that kind of stuff, it's kind of like, damn it, you know, like, obviously.
For me, it's just my expectations for you are higher.
yeah.
Like, you better be good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, no responsibilities.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you better be good.
Yeah.
Oh, 4th place? That's it? I'm just kidding. But
Yeah. There's definitely a fine line with it. I mean, and this is a
sure,
whole
dude.
nother tangent, but it's like, some of the kids makes it pretty easy to be like, all right, well, you know, I don't want to say anything bad. But then there's guys like, and this is like, I've never met him, but I've heard like Fisher and I is like a great dude. And I know he gets a really bad rap, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like, wouldn't that be everyone's goals? Like you want your kid to succeed, and like that's what his dad's doing. His dad's like working his ass off to make sure his kid succeeds, and like,
well, I agree, but it's a matter of your definition of success,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because
Fine line. Yeah.
like, if I give you a turkey versus you going and killing the turkey,
yeah,
if I give you a turkey and Johnny over there goes and kills the turkey and I call them both success,
yeah,
that's the only thing where it gets weird.
yep,
Right?
100%.
Because, but it's always easy to look at someone else's lawn
yep,
and say that it's not green enough.
yeah, yeah. That's a perfect way to put it.
And everybody's really fucking good at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But there's very few people who are really good at looking at their lawn and understanding that, man, that's a number 2 hook lawn. You know, maybe I should mess with a number 4. Right?
Yeah.
You know, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
The more time you spend paying attention to that guy's lawn,
yeah,
the worse yours is going to look.
yeah, yeah.
Because you ain't mowing it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe some people can mow and look at the other guy's lawn, but I ain't that good at mowing. I got to look in front of me or else I'm going to miss a spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, rant
No,
over.
no, that's perfect. That was an amazing way to put that. That's great.
Proper analogy for
Yeah.
you?
I liked it. I liked that a lot. That was good.
I pulled it out of my ass, so that's good.
It sounded poetic and it nailed it.
Hayden Curtis Anderson.
Curtis.
I just made up his middle name. His dad's name's Kurt.
Craig.
Craig.
If he
Close.
listens, he's gonna be mad.
He ain't gonna listen this far.
Huh?
Hey, Craig. Hey, Kurt.
Kurt's his brother though, so you got pretty close.
Yeah,
You knew that, right?
it's Anderson.
Yeah.
Same shit. You trying to go to bed?
No, I just needed my charger. Talking your ear off.
You're about to listen to a jerkbait lesson of the century
Oh yeah.
Shit.
when it comes out.
I'll be there for it.
You know Hayden? A little bit?
A little bit. We've only met, I think we met once a while back, but we've never like sat down and talked or anything.
That's my Luke Skywalker right there.
Yeah.
Yep. That's my hope for the future. Yep. That kid, he did a seminar up in Duluth when I was in college, and I'll never forget this day. I was doing a seminar. 4 people show up. Big room. full of chairs. 4 people show up. It's my seminar. It's pretty cool. I'm 5 minutes into my seminar, and I get a bloody nose.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I'm like going to fix my bloody nose. So I was like, well, I bet I'm curious, what this 4-person seminar looks like when I get back. It might be a 2. It might be a 1. I don't know. They were all 4 of them were there when I got back, and they actually asked if I was okay. But 2 of those guys were Hayden and his dad. And
Really?
Hayden was the greenest kid to bass fishing, and he was just obsessed with it. He know what he wanted to do, but he knew he wanted to go catch as many bass as he could. And we went out fishing, and now he's as lethal as a freaking fisherman as I've ever seen. But anyway, I think
That's cool.
Yeah, he's up in Chequamegon Bay. You ever fish Chequamegon Bay?
I've never been. I need to. Bad.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean,
I want to
better
just in like
places,
a bucket list way, because I feel like I just like growing up. You like see like the Midwest outdoors and stuff, and it's just like, oh man.
It's definitely that's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
It's a bucket list trip. Don't go there too often. It's not that good. More of a bucket list trip.
Yeah.
Just it's more the aura of it.
Yeah.
It's not what it used to be. Still, it sucks now. Don't go there. But, so you're back in this, like, are you excited to be back? Are you, and are you still fishing them Toyotas and stuff? So are you going to be traveling a lot then?
So as of right now, I don't know exactly what my tournament schedule will be. So this fall, I have the Toyota Series Championship, the Bass Nation Championship, and then, yeah, that's it for the bigger trail championship stuff. And then for next year, I don't know. I haven't like set aside anything, and it's tough to say with the schedules not being out and stuff. But I would definitely love to like jump down somewhere if there's a Toyota somewhere. I'm definitely gonna try and make it to, 1 or 2 here and there, kind of a thing. But
Well, how does, have you talked to your boss about, that? And,
not yet. But
Okay. Well, the business is called Wired to
Yeah.
Fish, so if he has an issue with it, maybe put a brand name change in the suggestion box for him.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're more wired to work around here. I don't know, because I ain't been fishing much, right? It's called Wired to Work.
Yeah.
Wired to not fish.
Yeah.
Oh, I can go. That's what I thought. That's right. Nick Dumke's fishing the entire circuit.
Yeah.
If he needs to pre-practice too, he can.
Yeah.
Only if he needs to.
But yeah, I don't know what the plan will be quite yet. Yeah, hopefully it's a great crew that's there, and they've been super understanding and supportive of fishing tournament stuff. So
How's the coffee?
good. It's good coffee. Yeah,
Is it?
it's good.
I know nothing about it besides it exists.
Yeah, that's all we drink in the office. It's
Okay.
good stuff.
Is it more of a Colombian blend, or do you have different options?
To be honest, I don't know. I just drink it.
Freaking
Yeah,
coffee, man.
Yeah,
All
pretty
right.
much
You creamer guy?
black.
Me
I'm just
too,
a black
brother. Me
coffee
too.
guy. Yeah.
Pour it in.
Yep.
That's it. Don't touch it.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
The
Wired to Fish
thing.
coffee. All of a sudden we're wired to fish, but you can't fish without coffee?
Yeah, it's actually so I don't know totally, so I don't want to speak out of turn on everything with it, but it's not directly I don't deal with any of it or anything. It's totally a separate thing that
We're gonna have to send Nick back to sales training. 'Cause
Yeah.
He doesn't know shit about this coffee.
Yeah.
No. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know totally how it works, to be totally honest with you, but yeah.
Just curious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what's your primary role at Wired to Fish then? Or what's kind of your day-to-day gonna look like?
A little bit of everything. Yeah, I kind of do. So right now, a lot of what I do is a lot of video editing, video creation side of things, the content creation stuff. And then social media management, really just kind of wear a lot of different hats, to be totally honest.
Yep.
Just kind of doing all parts of the business function side of things, or, all parts of the business, I should say. So that makes it fun to where it's always something different, and I'm kind of doing a bunch throughout the day, or it's, talking with clients and then actually making content. And so it's cool. It's refreshing. It's good. I like it.
What kind of video editing software do you use? And I guess, do you like that side of things?
I like editing, but I'm not good at editing, to be honest. It's not my like strong suit. So we use Premiere for a lot of our stuff.
Adobe,
for a lot
yep,
of pretty much all Adobe stuff for like, Camera Raw for a lot of that stuff, and Premiere for all of like our how-to format stuff and our long form. It's all done through our Adobe stuff, but yeah, I like editing a lot. I'm just never good at it. I need to get better at it. I'm not very. There's so many tiny little things that's like.
That's the problem with it for me.
The guys who are good at it, I'm like, all the credit in the world. It's incredible, the guys that are just wizards with it, because there's so much to learn with it.
100%. My autism just doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? Hey, you see that little dimple in that cord there?
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
don't work that way.
Yeah.
Not for the hours those guys have to do it.
No, yeah.
But it's just starting. I bet starting's the worst, because how. I guess if it's just a little reel, maybe it's not too bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the longest video? 4 minutes? 5 minutes? What's the longest video you guys? Like 15, I feel like is like
15's like the max. 15, 20. A lot of like the review stuff for like trolling motor installations. We just did one of those. Stuff like that. That definitely takes a while. That's like 20-minute stuff. But for the most part, like our how-to, the tip stuff, all that's like, 3 to 10, 12 minutes. So, and then social stuff, that's a whole different animal, but all that's pretty short. Yeah.
Well, I guess you being in the fishing business side of things, I guess I can relate there a little bit. But what, I guess, from the business side are you seeing with fishing and posting and like just business conversation for a quick sec? Like, it seems like it's a busy, noisy world to break through in terms of like
100%.
Getting your message out online. You guys are very fortunate to have a very established brand. I think like, I forget the guy's name, but like when he timed that, like his timing was impeccable by knowing probably just like anything luck of the draw that way. But so to me, that's a big advantage in this conversation, right?
Yeah.
Versus I just made a page and I want to breakthrough with the mold. I hate posting stuff, but I understand I have to. I love fishing enough to do it.
Yeah.
But what do you like? What's if somebody's wanting to, I don't know, post more or make more content? Like, what are you seeing? Where's the industry going versus what it was, business wise?
It's tough for me to say, just being a younger guy too. And it's like just kind of, I'm totally fresh to a lot of things, so it's kind of tough to like give an exact answer. But I feel like in terms of me and what I like to see and what I feel like what our clients like to see is just like genuine content. And then, video, that's obviously like the king of the game. I feel like, I feel like a lot of still content just kind of isn't really. I feel like that's kind of what used to be the thing, like what Instagram first was, was like posting that artsy pics and stuff. And now I feel like as far as like Instagram, Facebook goes, I think video is just like the king there. I think that's where we're at where just making reels and those kinds of things, like that's just where you got to be right now. And I think that's like an algorithm thing too. And I think it's kind of a mix of what people want to see and then what companies want to see, and then like an algorithm thing to where they all kind of just mix together kind of a thing.
That makes sense.
If that makes, if
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Nothing makes sense, but that makes sense.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the worst thing is like the algorithm side of things. It's like, it's tough to gauge what's right, what's wrong. And then it's like consistency is best, but also consistency can lead to like lower quality. So then it's like, what do you want to go for? More that's less quality, or higher quality that's less pace. But it's a hard game to balance for sure.
I was always curious, like, how does it work? In my mind, you guys are the perfect platform, right? And how often do you guys partner with companies to make content and help, because to me, like, if I'm you guys do a really good job helping people understand what the hell the lure is and why it is, right? And to a company making the lure, that's got to be really important. So is it the type of thing where do you guys choose the lure, or do you guys work with companies and then work together on the lure?
Kind of a little bit of everything. For the most part, yeah. I mean, that's kind of our whole goal, is the mix of, like helping our clients, but also helping people, like you said, people learn things as well. So that's kind of that's a super cool thing, to try and make those mash and, making that work to where you're doing both. Yeah, that's a super cool thing for sure with it, that I enjoy a lot.
Yeah. And I gotta imagine that helps you meet a lot of the right people. And I think, when you do make that next step in pro fishing, it's probably really beneficial. And what's tough about, and I can speak to this, is like all the benefits of working in the industry. Like you get stuck in it a little bit, where it's hard to distinguish yourself as an angler a little bit, because you are stuck with a lot of responsibilities, and it is tough to go fishing at times. But forget where I was going with that, but that's always tough. It seems like I've seen a lot of good fishermen go down the industry path, get stuck in it. I might be one of them. You know what I mean? So I guess to me, this whole, your boss letting you do that is a big deal. But I guess, are you okay with that?
Okay with
being stuck in the industry and not having, feeling like you have the right, the amount of time, or because what you're up against is what we just talked about, is, give a guy a turkey versus go kill a turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you have to go kill a turkey, but yet you have no time to go kill a turkey.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of guys that are just getting these turkeys.
Yeah.
How do you compete against this guy? Just got given 6 turkeys, and you just worked 2 weeks, and you shot half a turkey.
Yeah.
Right? And a wolf ate the other half of it or something, right?
I mean, for me, it doesn't really bother me. You're talking in terms of like these guys that are just being paid.
I just
for
told
the
you that
opens,
you're
and then-
stuck at Wired to Fish the rest of your life, and you did not make the Elite Series, Nick Dumke. How the fuck does that feel?
Yeah. So it's
Put
kind
it
of back.
bluntly.
Yeah. So kind of back to almost like the hippie side of things, where I was like, it's kind of like your path. It's kind of one of those things for me where it's just kind of it's the learning curve kind of thing, and that's just the way it is. It's I can't change, the path that I'm on, kind of a thing, and it's and it's sure, I'd love to be an elite fisherman, but I'm not. Sure, I'd love to have rich parents that could just go pay for me to be in the opens, but I'm not. But that's okay. And I feel like those are all kind of stepping stones to what it's going to take, because I'm kind of getting out of hand here, or getting off topic a little bit, but a big thing for me is or I should say, one thing that really stood out to me is Brandon Polinick. Have you listened to his stuff that he's done?
Oh,
yeah. And his words really resonated with me, of just or his story, I should say, resonated with me, of just when it's your time, and when you just keep working at things, the stuff where it doesn't make sense, it will eventually, kind of a thing. And I'm just kind of there where I'm kind of I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know where exactly I want to be. I don't know what that's going to be, but I feel like if I just keep doing what I love and keep working hard at what I love, then that's all going to come together eventually. And it's just kind of like I said, just kind of let the cards fall where they're going to. And
I think that's a great outlook, and it's tough, right? Because it's Nick, are you gonna let the universe decide if you're an Elite Series angler, or are you gonna freaking grab your balls and be an Elite Series, right? Yeah, but I think that's not what you're saying.
Yeah,
that what you're saying is,
I want to ride the cut of that.
You can't decide if you're an Elite Series angler, but you can decide to get out of bed and go work on this technique this day, right? And you can decide to,
exactly.
You can decide to give, you can decide to fully give yourself up to the process.
Yep.
And that is because you have this strong desire for that end result to be an Elite Series angler.
Mm-hmm.
I, Nick Dumke, I want to be an Elite Series angler, and I believe that I have the abilities to do it, which is why I'm going to commit to the process that is required to become that. And if I do that, maybe the universe will look at that and say,
yeah, exactly. 100%.
and I think that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what happens.
Yeah.
The universe does choose you in a sense, but you also have to choose to let the universe choose you.
100%. Yep. Keep working hard at like what I do, what I love, but then I'm not like expecting anything to just like happen, or I'm not expecting handouts, and I never would, and I wouldn't want it to be that way, you know, because like you said, I would never want to be in the shoes of where mommy and daddy went and just gave a credit card and just said, here you go, have it at the opens, because I know, like, again, maybe I'm treading dangerous territory here, but there's guys who have, you know, succeeded doing that. But personally, I would never want to be that.
That's because you weren't raised that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because of how you're raised, like, you can't put Pandora back in the box.
Yep. 100%.
You know what I mean? You can't, like, reincarnate Nick Dumke as a spoiled little fuck that doesn't give a shit. You know, like, it's not like that. You can't just do that.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah, just kind of riding the waves and keep working hard at it. Like I said,
you can't make it sink with number 2 hooks.
Exactly. Yep.
You can't. Or I mean, with number 6 hooks.
Yep.
You need number 4s.
Yep.
Can't believe I said number 2s like that.
Okay.
Golly, you're gonna dock me 6 points at least. So I think it's getting late. I want you to get some sleep because you've got a project ahead of you. What do you think it's going to take to win on Tonka? End of June, grimy.
To be honest, I have zero clue.
I think 20 to 21 pounds.
That was in my head. Yeah, I was going to say somewhere from like 20 to 22 just because, I don't...
I think the winning weight's probably easier to guess than the cash checking weight.
Yeah.
In my mind, the cash checking weight is probably the hardest. Like, how fast is it going to drop off from 20?
Yeah.
That's always a question on somebody always, out of how many people are fishing, someone will crack them, but how many guys will crack them? Do you feel good?
I really have no clue, to be honest.
That's a great feeling. Good. Yeah, you'll be fine then.
Yeah, I'm definitely not on them by any means, but I don't feel off them by any means. I don't know. It's been weird. Like, we're fine. Like, catching fish is, you know, like, you can put some things together, and we put a few things together to be able to like go catch them, but just catching a big one is hard. And then the other thing too that's like, and this is kind of where I'm like relearning, which is really cool, is so like I haven't fished big tournaments back home now since like, well, literally high school, I guess, is like the last time I fished big stuff back home. And this world's so different from the South, and what I've like kind of developed in the South is like shoot, where was I going with that?
The process?
No, what the hell was I gonna say? I don't know why I just went blank.
A way of doing things? It's called a Highland Reservoir?
Well, that, I guess, Or, that's where I was going. Is like down south, a lot of stuff I kind of like, and maybe it's just a confidence thing where I could just like graph stuff and then just be like, I'm not even gonna cast at that. And I'm gonna come back to that. And now I'm relearning that to where I'm like, should I cast at that? And it's like, you know, so it's some stuff where I'm like,
up here it's hard.
Yeah, it's very hard because a lot up here is way more spot orientated than like pattern orientated. So that's where it definitely becomes hard, because you might find, and then there's so much stuff where it like, it doesn't look that good, and then like you throw your jig in, you get bit first cast, and you're like, oh well, you know.
The thing about Tonka is the good looking shit probably just got hammered by a bunch of guides and a bunch of tournament anglers. So like, what's the best looking shitty shit near that, right? Or something?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't really know. That's just kind of what I basically spent. So today was the 3rd day of practice. I came 2 days last weekend, and then today was the 3rd day of practice I've been here. I've basically just been graphing. Like the first day, I think I put like 10 hours on my motor. The first day I was here, just graphed. Second day, I fished a little bit more, and then today I did like kind of a mix of both. But I've just been trying to just look at like every inch of the lake just to get a feel for things, because obviously it's changing so much, and then not being here for like 3 years. So Just trying to like.
What are you looking at right now? Because there is so much stuff in Tonka that like. So that's why I think we should probably end on this note because like this is really interesting to me. Leaving Minnesota, going south, developing a process of success, and then coming back and just graphing and not fishing that much. Like, what?
Yeah.
Talk to me about like what the hell are you marking?
It's definitely a bold.
Are you marking coontail patches because you have 8,000 waypoints then?
Yeah,
you know?
And that's what I've got going right now is I've just got like everything marked under the sun, and I've been I tried to not just go full in on that just because again like I'm fresh to being back home really, and just like the new era of fishing almost, and just like a new, me as a fisherman, I'm just totally a new person from when I was here last, like full time, fishing hard. I've fished tournaments and stuff here and there every summer, but never like going all in on a tournament trail. So it's definitely a lot different. But yeah, it's been kind of a weird feeling, like trying to find the right groove of what I should be doing and what is right. And I did get led astray. Like there's the bluegill beds are incredible right now.
Oh, they're insane. They'll be there all year.
Yeah, I thought
they'll get deeper and deeper.
I thought that was going to be like the play. I can't get bit out of them.
There's too many of them.
Yeah, it's way too saturated of a thing. It's just like huge colonies everywhere you go. Yeah,
and
I'm sure someone's gonna smash them doing it. I know someone will, and that's actually part of my plan tomorrow. I want to keep it honest because last weekend when I was here, I only casted on like 4 of them, but I feel like that's enough sample size to where it's like, okay, I should have got bit doing this. I never caught any doing it. But last weekend, the water temps were 64 to 65. Today, they were 74 to 75. So it rose 10 degrees in a week. So that's the other thing that's difficult now, too, is those last 2 days practice, graphing. Things have already changed so much then. It's a lot. But
how about, like, different water clarity bluegill beds? Have you, like, checked clean ones, stained ones, and dirty ones?
Yeah. I've checked it all.
Of course you have.
I've tried. Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. I got nothing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's something I'm definitely gonna mess with tomorrow, and to be honest, I'll probably mess with it in the tournament. Just try and really keep it honest, because one of those things where I feel like it could just snap, and then all of a sudden it's a play, and I don't know. Maybe those Tonka boys are gonna listen to this and be like, that idiot. He's totally off the mark. But
like, I don't know. I got some Tonka buddies who would probably be able to tell you the answer to that, or some like a hypothesis. But I mean, the best thing I keep them honest.
Yeah, the best thing I can come to is that they're around them. They're not like directly correlated, but they're correlated to them.
Dude, and okay, that makes me think of like when I talked to Kenta. It was 2 podcasts ago, which I talked to him at the Classic, but he was talking about in Japan, like they have these ponds that you can pay to fish and whatnot, and they learn a lot about, obviously you have these bass in a pen and they get very conditioned.
Yeah.
So he's convinced that they know which bluegill they're going to eat next, and he's convinced 100% that they purposely don't eat them sometimes to wait till they're done spawning. Because think about it, dude. You're stuck in a kitchen, right? Right? And let's say you have a chicken in that kitchen.
Yep.
You have a chicken and you have eggs. Right? Okay. And that's all you have.
Yep.
And guess what? You can't go to the grocery store. You're stuck in this kitchen, right? How do you make sure you have enough food for your entire life?
Incredible. They're self-sustaining.
Well, like, they're survivalists.
Yeah.
Like, they survive. Same reason they don't eat your sakamana the next time. They're dumb, and they're not that dumb.
Yeah.
Maybe those bluegills aren't post-spawn enough.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Maybe
wow.
it just made me think of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You'll have to let
That's
me know
insane.
what you think. But like, all I could think of is like, they are near them. Absolutely.
And that
They're in the kitchen.
And to go with that, like down south, bluegill beds play hard. Like, I don't know, like talking with guys, and I even saw it at Pickwick last August. Catching them off of bluegill beds last August. And you would never, like, they get on bluegill beds down there in like May. April, May. Like, you'll start to see colonies form.
But maybe it's not a deal till later because they made enough bluegills.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
I saw that 300 eggs on that one.
Yeah. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. She's
Mine.
done. I got the dibs on Karen.
Yeah.
I said, Karen is mine.
Yeah. That's
That was
wild.
fighting over Karen.
Yeah.
I'm eating Karen. Oh, fuck. They got both of us. Oh, I got two at once. Both trebles. Looked just like Karen.
See, then, yeah, that's the devil's advocate to that.
Like,
Then
Kenta's
why do they
convinced
fight
they
them?
know they're going to eat that one next, but they don't eat it yet.
Huh.
How fucked up is that?
That's pretty next level.
Well, like, Jim Severson weighs a bass on the whitefish chain one weekend, brings it 3 lakes over, catches the exact same fish off the exact same bed the very next weekend. That fish swims through cross
Yeah.
in a burn all the way up into trout. Like,
Definitely, yeah.
you know what I mean?
They're smarter than we give them credit for sure. Yeah.
Like, if you tell me a bass can't swim from cross to, like, that bass got drug away, I probably, like, lost some brain cells on the way to
right.
cross. Probably lost some more brain cells, got let go in a swamp bay that has some depth to it,
yeah. Yeah.
and swam back to trout to something that's this big.
Yeah.
And did not even type an address into its GPS.
No Siri involved.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
eating Karen next, and it's
Yeah.
gonna wait a day. Yeah, like,
Can't argue it.
talking to
Makes sense.
Kenta was so cool from that standpoint,
Yeah.
because I feel like those, like, the reason Japan is the way it is because they're able to, they see 10-pound bass all day and don't catch them.
Yeah.
Like, that's
They got to think of the why of what can we do to. Yeah.
well, what else do you do? You just
Yeah.
like, that's why they make good shit.
Yeah.
It's like, what up? Like,
They
they're not
have to.
they're not catching them.
Yeah.
If I'm not catching them, I'm probably gonna think about how to catch them.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so those bluegill beds, I'm really curious. Like,
Yeah.
that's something I fish bluegill beds all the time, and sometimes I catch them, and sometimes I don't. And I would say I don't a lot more times than I do.
Yeah. Totally agree. Yeah. And some lakes it plays more than others. I don't know if that's a lack of another food source thing or if they just prefer them more in other places or why that is. But
I feel like it might be the amount of total bluegills, right? Because on Tonka, let's say, right, you've got them, call them the early spawners, like, if we're talking smallmouth, right?
Mhm.
It's that, the water that warms up the quickest.
Yeah.
If we're talking Mille Lacs, it's those shallow bay fish that go up to spawn right
Yeah.
away, right? Those bluegills are post-spawn now,
yeah.
and maybe wadded up in, like, a group. And they're maybe smaller and easier to eat and easier to digest
Yeah. Yeah.
than that frickin'
Big old
pancake on
yeah.
that bed.
Yeah.
So that, to me, is the biggest reason why bluegill beds, I think it's a bigger meal, and I think it, like, I just don't think they eat that big a bluegill that often. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I think your 10-pound Texas bass might.
Yeah.
Tilapia, big
Mhm.
hole. But
Yeah.
I think we got into just a weird rabbit hole of questions here, but
No, it's been great.
I think maybe we'll just leave the audience on a cliffhanger for this one. And your homework for today is to let Aaron Teal know when to fish bluegill beds. And if you'd like to tell Nick Dumke, you certainly can. Do you have anything else to get off your chest tonight, dude? This is like My God.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Talked about life, fishing. It was great.
Life, love, fishing. Well, we
Yeah.
didn't get to love besides the fishing part. Pursuit of happiness.
Shocking.
I learned a lot about jerkbaits. So, dude, I appreciate this. Thank you again.
Yeah.
And
great.
congrats on all the success. I know this is just the beginning. And for the fishing world, who's sleeping on Nick Dumke, this is your friendly reminder to look the fuck out. All right? Because he's coming to take your lunch money. So, this is Teal's Bass Galaxy. Checking in, checking out.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, dude.